Is it possible to make money from old content on your channel? Our guest earned $44,000 from a single YouTube video last year that wasn't even new content. Can you break down what the strategy was, what you did, and explain this?
Kind of the common advice that a lot of people will give on YouTube is don't make your videos too long. Well, this video was almost 3 hours long. It is difficult, right, to find time for content creation in sort of these fringe hours that you have. When I started, it was really just out of passion. And that's what I always tell people is that if you're going to do YouTube, you're going to work probably for a while for free.
You reached monetization in 9 months while working full-time. What were some of maybe the early challenges and also the key decisions that accelerated your growth? In today's episode of the Think Media Podcast, we're also going to be covering how to earn more money from your videos, specifically the RPM, and how to earn 3 to 4 times higher than the average rates. And she's going to be breaking down exactly how, and also going through her simple content strategy that has earned over $500,000 in
has embedded AI within our applications at no extra cost across the entire suite. Fusion Cloud ERP, EPM, HCM, and CX. This is your AI advantage. Get a free demo at oracle.com/applications.
Strategy that has earned over $500,000 in 4 years. And she did all of this while working full-time as a nurse without any fancy or extra fancy gear. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about the essential mindset shifts for successful creators. Sometimes, whether it's negative comments, what other people may think, all of that can sometimes hold us back, and we will break through today on the podcast. Now, our guest, Jen, is a healthcare consultant by day and a YouTube powerhouse by night, who turned her passion for helping working moms into a channel with over 138,000 subscribers. Her practical cooking and lifestyle content has generated over $500,000 in just 4 years, all while maintaining her full-time career. From viral videos earning $44,000 in ad revenue to building a thriving community of working parents, Jen proves that with the right strategy, you can build a YouTube business alongside any career. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to go right up to what everybody wants to know, and that's the $44,000 video strategy. So you posted a video that wasn't new content, earned that much money from a single video. Can you break down what the strategy was, what you did, and explain this?
Yeah, I'm kind of just as surprised as you are or as anyone is. It was sort of an experiment, and it was kind of born out of me needing to get out a video and not really having a lot of time to film new content. And I had seen some other channels in my same sort of niche or space on YouTube making these compilation videos, right? So you take kind of one section of your cooking. In my case, it was budget meals. And I went back through all of my old content because I thought to myself, well, I've been doing YouTube for a long time. I have a lot of videos on my channel. And I think that a lot of times as creators, we think, well, if we posted a video 2 years ago, people have already seen that. But that's not true, right? Because you always have new people coming to your channel. And so what I was able to do is take a bunch of my old videos, kind of edit them and chop them up into one big mega compilation of budget cooking, right? Which was really big last year and the year before due to grocery prices and inflation and all of that. And kind of the common advice that a lot of people will give on YouTube is don't make your videos too long. Well, this video was almost 3 hours long. And so I had no idea how it was going to be received, and it ended up just taking off. And so, really it was kind of out of necessity, but I also wanted to try something new that I hadn't tried before.
So did you change the edits at all? So to break it down, you went into your library, you looked at different videos you had done related to budget cooking. You threw them back into the timeline of a video editor? Do you edit your own videos?
I did at that time, yes.
And so what software were you using?
I use Power Director.
Okay, so you take your old YouTube videos, put them all in Power Director. Did you just leave them or did you edit it up a little bit?
Yeah, I edited it up a little bit because a lot of those previous videos that I had done were sponsored videos. So I wanted to kind of take the sponsored portion out. And I also kind of listened through to see if there was anything that didn't really make sense. So I wouldn't say it was a huge amount of editing because obviously the content itself is already done. It's just kind of piecing it all together.
Okay, so minimal edit. Did you shoot any new content?
I think I shot an intro and an outro and the sponsored portion of the video, but that was it.
Nice. So the strategy for listeners is thinking about this idea of using compilations. We also have sometimes called these content marathons. We're launching a bunch of new ones right now because it's kind of logical. And I did the same. I shot new intros, new outros, new transitions, but there's a lot of times so much gold in our library that we can tap into and go a little bit deeper here. This singular video earned $44,000. Like, why do you think that is? And that's such an extraordinary amount of money from a singular video. 3 hours is probably helpful because of multiple ad spots. But if you look behind the scenes, what are some of the things you're seeing?
Well, I think, first of all, it was me kind of taking advantage of a current trend, right? Or like, what is a current problem that people are looking to solve on YouTube? They're looking for cheap meals and inexpensive ideas that they can use to feed their family. And so I think that the topic itself was able to kind of launch it into the algorithm. Now, another thing I want to say is that it didn't take off right away, right? I think it took me a little over a year to reach 1 million views on that video, but it was slow and steady. And the great thing about that is that even now when I look in my YouTube analytics, even last month I earned $800 from that video, something I posted a long time ago. And so I think also, like you said, having the length of the video being longer allows YouTube to place all of those different ad spots in it. And then two, just having advertiser friendly content that is applicable to an audience such as mine, which are primarily 25 to 65-year-old women. They're the spenders in the house. They're the ones that advertisers want to advertise to. And so my content in general is very advertiser friendly, but I think particularly for that video, the demographics and the subject and everything just kind of lined up perfectly.
That's a great transition into this next question about RPM and how much individual videos earn. You mentioned in our pre-survey that you're getting 3 to 4 times higher RPMs than average. But before we even get that deep, can you break it down simply for listeners that are like, okay, what kind of insider language are we talking about here? What does RPM mean? So what is your understanding of how would you explain RPM to somebody who's brand new to YouTube?
Yeah, so RPM is revenue per mil, I think MILLE, which is per 1,000 views. So basically it's how much advertisers are paying per 1,000 views that you receive on your YouTube channel. And there's other things that go into that in terms of watch time. But, and when you say, it's funny because Sean, when you say, oh, you're getting 3 to 4 times the average RPM, I'm like, I don't even really realize what the average RPM is. Like, I've heard of $10 being average. I don't know that my RPM has ever been that low. I looked for 2024 and my RPM for the year 2024 was $27, which I understand is a bit higher, but I think that's just due to, like I mentioned before, having advertiser-friendly content. I really don't post controversial things, which I guess in the end might hurt me a little bit because I may not be getting that kind of clickbaity stuff that others are getting. If you make content that is, I don't want to say family friendly, but you know what I mean when I say that. It's kind of universal to a large group of people. You're not saying anything offensive. You have good retention in your videos. People, tend to watch till the end. Then in my experience, I've been able to kind of achieve those higher RPMs.
Man, that's incredible. And I think this is a good thing for listeners to be considering. I looked it up in Gemini, the AI that is owned by Google and YouTube, and it's all the same company. They say that the average RPM in the US is around $2 to $5 per 1,000 views.
Oh
When you
my.
said 10, I was like, no, that's not average. 10 is really high. 10 is super
Okay.
good. If you're at 27, that's extraordinary. And I think that's a great strategy. Yes, when family friendly might sound like it could be such sanitized content, but it just means accessible to any audience. If you layer on stuff like profanity or violence or controversial topics, it's just going to limit how much advertisers want to advertise in your videos. It is, you nailed it though. I think also when you spoke to like an age demographic and the spenders, because I think one of the best ways to think about RPM is simply that advertisers want to get in front of somebody who actually has the purchasing power and interest to spend money on their product. And so it's understandable too why RPMs are higher in the United States than maybe in a developing country that wouldn't have the same buying power, or there's not even the shipping of that product, the infrastructure to get the product to the person. And so if somebody was after luxury goods or baby boomers were after financial products for investments, that's an entirely different audience in terms of the advertiser's perspective. And so that's really incredible that you're getting that. And then so if you break that down compared to what you're also just saying, not only do you have higher RPM, but if you also then do a longer video and you marry those two things together, 3 hours long. Now, when you put ads on that compilation, do you just let YouTube do it? Do you just check the box that says let YouTube place the ads, or do you go in and actually manually place ads on something like that?
On that particular video, I just let YouTube do it, and I do double check it before I make the video live. And when I went in there and looked at the timeline of the ads that YouTube had placed, it was like bing, 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 bing. You know, all throughout the timeline, I saw there was a bunch of ads, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. And obviously, it looks a little different because it's a 3-hour video, kind of squashed into this little timeline. But yeah, I just let them do it for that particular video.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so you said 1 million views, but even on 1 million views, right? It's a little over 1 million.
Yeah, I think it's 1.1 now, or yeah. I think it's
$44,000 is an insane amount of money for most channels. Like again, a $2 RPM would be 2 million, or 2,000. It would be $2,000 on a million viewed video. So to make $44,000 on a million viewed video speaks to also how high the RPM is, plus the length, plus the volume of ads. So man, we came out fast on this episode of the Think Media Podcast, thinking about some ways. So if you're listening, think about how could you improve maybe the length of your content, maybe the target audience of your content. Doesn't even mean you need to change your niche, but who are you speaking to? Are you speaking to maybe an older audience that has credit card in hand potentially and actually has buying power? And if your content is not for them, that's also maybe why you're earning less, and it can influence your future strategy in terms of how much you make in ad revenue, and definitely try out the compilation strategy. Well, take us through your content planning process while working full time. To this day, you're still working full time?
Yeah, and I sort of feel like a unicorn in the YouTube space because I feel like everyone is wanting to get to that point where they can quit their job, you know, and I financially, you know, I've been making enough on YouTube now that I probably could have quit my job years ago, but I really have no interest in doing that. My career is really fulfilling to me, and I worked really hard for my education, and I get a lot of, I get a lot of my fulfillment, out of my job. And so it's something that's really important to me to keep. Also, I do like the structure of having a regular paycheck. I like a 401k. I like health insurance, you know, all of those things that come with a traditional job. But yeah, I mean, it is difficult, right, to find time for content creation in sort of these fringe hours that you have, especially when you're working a full-time job. You know, I want to say one thing that helps me is that my kids are older now. So I have a 15-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son. You know, could I have done this when they were babies and toddlers? You know, scaled a YouTube channel while working full-time when I had a 2-year-old and a baby at home? Probably not, right? Also fair to mention is that I have a husband and we share pretty equally in the children's responsibilities. So I don't want to give the impression that I'm Superwoman and I can do things that other people can't. But it is a matter of just deciding that you're going to succeed and then planning your time around that.
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. StreamYard is our go-to platform here at Think Media for live streaming to Facebook and YouTube and for recording our video podcast. It has an incredibly easy-to-use interface for built-in branding, transitions, text lower thirds, and seamlessly bringing on guests. And they just added an awesome new feature called local recording. This allows you to take the quality to another level by separating out your audio and video from your guests, giving you more control over your content for later use. This feature is perfect for video and podcast creators, and so to get a special deal on StreamYard right now and to see all the features that are included, just go to streamwiththink.com. That is streamwiththink.com. Man, it's an encouraging word. You know what's interesting is another Video Ranking Academy student that was just on the podcast wanted to keep Becky Park on Poshmark, wanted to keep her choir job, even though like YouTube actually, her job kind of became a side hustle and YouTube was kind of like the main thing. But what I love about that is while never want to even, YouTube takes a ton of hard work, patience, there is no guarantees. I love what you're saying. It's just possible. I think that's so possible to maintain your full-time job, love a full-time job, have some stability there, retirement there, but to also build this out on the side. Seasons of life, younger kids, maybe a little bit harder, but depending on your seasons of life, this is figure outable. And really, I just want to encourage listeners, like embrace your season, a little bit at a time. And while your results are extraordinary, $500,000, I just am so passionate about this like extra $5, $10, $15, $25,000 a year type of YouTube channel for a lot of people. And it's possible. And I want to go a little bit deeper because specifically then though, how do you do it? Like if you've got your working schedule, when do you film? Do you have daylight to film? Do you need lights? Like just if you kind of break us into like your routine.
Yeah. So typically so you mentioned in the beginning, I'm a nurse by background, but I don't work a traditional patient care job anymore. So I work more on the consulting side. So I do have kind of quote normal hours, 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. So that does help in terms of having a block of time on the weekends to film. And so one thing I want to encourage people to do, and this is dependent on your niche, but if you can do it, your life is your content, right? So you are the content, right? And so a lot of times what I would normally be doing anyway, which is going grocery shopping or cooking dinner for my family, that's something I normally be doing anyway, but I'm just filming it. Right. And so a lot of times I don't even have to set aside extra time. Obviously, there's times when I do kind of more involved videos and have to plan things out. But you don't have to do that, and people are looking for connection and relatability. They're looking to see the real you. They don't want a polished newscaster version of you. They want you in all your authenticity. And I think that by blocking time off, even if you do have a full-time job, it's possible, after your kids go to bed. Now, does it mean that you're never going to have downtime? Yeah, you're probably not going to have a lot of downtime. You're going to be working a lot. But for me, that was okay. And you mentioned also just having, even if someone could make an extra $2,000 a month on YouTube, right? That's really powerful. And my reason why, or kind of my motivation behind it is that I want to fully fund my kids' college education. Education is really important to me. I want to make sure that they kind of have that start in life. So being able to do that for them and then being able to take that extra money and do things like travel, take more trips, do things like that. So that's kind of my motivation behind it. I do try to plan my content out, but I'm also a huge procrastinator. So sometimes it's like best laid plans, but I'm lucky in that I've been able to build a really incredible audience of people who a lot of them will watch anything I post. Not all of them, right? But a lot of people I've built that relationship with over the years. And so kind of whatever I feel led to make a video about, they are interested in it.
It's really inspiring. And I love your vision of tying it back to a why, like the motivation to fund the kids' college education, freedom for your family to travel. I'm curious about two aspects of this, though. How long did it take you to get comfortable? Yes, you're already going to go grocery shopping. Yes, you're already going to be cooking for your family. But there's some listeners right now that are wanting to start their channel. They've been planning and thinking about starting their channel for a while. Well, they've gotten a few videos out, but it's so much brain fatigue to be like, if I'm cooking, oh, I got to set the camera up. Oh, did I do it right? And if they're cooking, if that was their niche, oh no, now I burnt it because I'm trying to think about cooking, but I'm learning this whole new skill set. It's like a different part of my brain. And how am I acting on camera? And I'm trying to focus on and then the same thing at grocery store. I'm filming in public. Oh, people are like looking at me. Jen said it was so easy, and I get it. But like, I'm trying to. So speak to like that learning curve, because I agree with you, especially eventually. Like, you are the content. So if you could just turn the camera on and deliver the hook in the middle and the outro, but what's like the learning curve to kind of get comfortable with filming in that day-to-day life, and how did you develop that back when you were starting?
Yeah, so I would say that in the beginning, voiceovers are your friend. You can set up a camera and do something in your kitchen, meal prep, cook a meal, whatever you want to do. And then, if you don't want to get too fancy, speed up the footage a little bit, chop it up, and then do a voiceover over it. And in fact, if I go back and look at some of my earliest videos, that's all they were. In fact, one of my first videos that hit over 1 million views, I never showed my face on camera. It was a meal prep video, and I just set the camera up and I cooked. And then when I put it in my editing software, I took the sound off and I talked over it, and I added a little bit of music. And that video also, hit over 1 million views. And so it doesn't need to be fancy. I think, like you said, a lot of people get intimidated with all of the gear and the fancy setups and the lights and the this and the that. And I always try to tell people, I bought a Canon G7X Mark II for $500, and I made over $500,000 with it. So, if you can do that, anything's possible. And same with going out in public. You can get your B-roll and then do a voiceover over it, because I will admit it was a transition for me also. I would say it wasn't until just the last maybe year or so that I was even comfortable going into a store and filming in public. And I still am very conscious. I don't want people to notice me. I'm not one of those people that's hold my camera out, and shouting in the middle of Walmart. But yeah, you kind of have to find what works for you. And once your comfort level goes up, you can kind of change your content around that if you want to get on camera more.
That's really great advice. In fact, that's probably one of the best strategies I've ever heard, doing voiceovers at the start, or even now. Voiceovers are your friend, because rather than thinking you're going to also narrate some great video while you're in the kitchen, just so listeners understand, your goal is to just get the shots. Now that you have the shots, you're showing yourself cooking, you're showing the ingredients, you're showing the eggs being broken, and then you throw that all into a timeline, and now you actually have a chance to take a breath, be focused, and you're also, kids might be asleep, it might be dark, you're trying to be quiet, but you're in your office. So now you're kind of in a different zone as you're going to put the video together. And in doing so, it's such a great format. You got 1 million views off of that format. And so I love that idea. And I also want to talk about editing. You mentioned that you edited the compilation last year, but it's something different now. Did you eventually delegate editing, or are you still editing?
So I actually just last month hired an editing service. So I'm kind of dipping my toe back into that. There have been times during my YouTube career that I have worked with an editor consistently. There was a time period of about 2 years that I worked pretty much, I was publishing a lot of content, like 3 to 4 videos a week. And so I had a dedicated editor that was helping me with that. It did become a little bit cost prohibitive, and so I stepped away from that. I don't know, I gotta say, the editing thing is really something that I am struggling with right now in terms of like, I know I can do it myself, but I could be so much more prolific with my content if I didn't. And so that's why I'm, a hired to service and I'm going more back towards that. But I really feel strongly that when you're first starting out on YouTube, I don't know how you feel, but I personally feel like you should learn to edit your own videos. I think it gives you so much more appreciation for the process, and it really, I don't know, I mean, it can be really enjoyable, right? So I still enjoy editing my own videos. I just don't know if it's the best use of my time right now.
Yeah, that's some great advice. And I think people probably breathed a breath of fresh air hearing you to say you're struggling. I mean, you're so successful, and yet this is hard. And
Yeah.
the seasons, you're juggling things. It takes work. Some people probably think, I wish I could afford an editor. But also, even that's hard, because then it's working with them and it didn't work out. And then you feel like you wasted some money maybe. And so that could be a challenge. So then you pick it back up. And so thanks for sharing about just that. It's not just all smooth and unicorns and rainbows all the time. Sometimes there's challenges. And I would agree with you. The big idea around, if you are just starting and you learn to edit your own videos, kind of makes me feel like even an entrepreneur, I've heard advice from different mentors I've had that, like, while there's no way you could ever master every single thing in a business. It's nice if you've done it a little, which a lot of people do when they're starting. Like maybe your gift is not accounting and finances, but at least you've done it a little. Maybe your gift is not ultimately email marketing if your online business grows, but at least you understand open rates and you understand. And then same thing, maybe eventually you're going to delegate editing. But if you've never done it, it makes it easier to hire later, easier to understand, easier to know what you're looking for. And then for the storyteller, AKA the content creator, editing itself is kind of its art form. I think it helps you reinforce even how you communicate. I know, listening to myself, I'm like, wow, I say a lot. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. And so by editing my content, I think, improved as a communicator. And I think there's something about embracing the lessons that every season teaches us. It doesn't have to be that way forever, but when you're wearing all of the hats, there's a lot of learning that can come from those various seasons. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I actually give that advice when I'm at work too. And I'm teaching kind of how to present and public speaking and facilitation. I tell people, I say, record your presentation and listen back to it. You're going to learn more doing that. And you can be critical of yourself and you might cringe a little bit, but in the end, like you said, it's going to make you a better communicator.
So I actually do want to go back to the beginning of your story, early on when you got monetized, some mindset shifts, talking about even negative comments and sometimes, dealing with criticism and how you've done that. But before we get there, one of the things you have done is you've made it a priority and you've been intentional about building an email list, and you also have a freebie strategy. Let's go high level. Why, as a very successful content creator as well, did you make it a priority to build an email list? A lot of creators think about, okay, I want to get monetized, I want to get views. Why did you build an email list? When did you start it? What software, and how did you even figure that out? And then we'll talk about the freebie strategy.
Yeah, so I want to say I started kind of the email list building, maybe it was in around 2019. And I started with MailChimp, which I did not enjoy. It was very confusing to me. And once I got to a certain point where I was getting more and more subscribers, you get more subscribers on your email list and they charge you more. And so at that point, I started looking into other options in terms of platforms, because I knew at some point I wanted to do digital products and online courses and have a website and all that. So I ended up going with Kajabi, which I've been with them for several years now. I was able to release a course a couple years ago and kind of host that on their platform along with my website, where I can post recipes, and then I can have my email list integrated there as well, which I find it all super user friendly. But in terms of building an email list, I think it's really important to have diversity in terms of where your audience is. And personally, I've seen a couple of, I wouldn't say necessarily friends, but acquaintances in the YouTube space that have gotten their channel taken down with no warning for whatever reason, whether it's a false copyright strike or someone hacks your channel or something. And so if your channel is, you wake up one day and it's gone for whatever reason, how are you going to get in touch with your viewers? Are they following you on Instagram? Or, do you have an email list, things like that? And so that's kind of where I came from it, the angle that I came from it at. And then I also just wanted a way to be able to deliver free value to my viewers in terms of printed recipes. So a lot of times when people are watching a cooking video, what's the number one question they have? Where can I find these recipes? Where can I print these recipes? And so I knew that was a way to be able to kind of formalize that process in terms of like, okay, subscribe to my email list and I'll give you this free printable.
I love the vision, very intentional to build like an online business that's more holistic. We have used Kajabi for years as well, and it's really nice to have the all-in-one. And that was actually my same trajectory. A lot of people start with MailChimp because it's a good free way to start. You start building it, but then as you start looking down the road and you start looking at things like, oh yeah, if I am going to have a website and if I do want digital products and I do want, how did you decide for your niche what digital product to create and how was that experience?
I ended up creating a meal planning course, which I think it was about 2 years ago now that I did that. And I knew that I wanted something that was low ticket. So I want to say I sold it for like $29. Is it my best work? No, but did it force me to kind of get out there and do something different and sell a product that was mine instead of working with a sponsor to sell their product? Yes, and I want to do more of that in the future. And I think it's just like anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And so it was kind of, again, a little bit of an experiment for me, but then I also wanted the ability for my viewers to get more content from me that wasn't just on my YouTube channel, right? So that meal prep or meal planning course I created was all separate from my YouTube channel. It's all different new content. And so I kind of have a lot of ideas swirling around in my head about digital products and courses and memberships and all of that, but there's only so much time in the day to make those come to fruition.
And to be clear, your freebie strategy, you mentioned it, but this is because you have recipes. The way that people can get the printable recipes is by joining your email list. Did I get that right?
Correct. Yeah. I just set up a super simple landing page. They put their email list in and boom, it takes them to a page where they can just download the PDF of all of the recipes. Yep.
That's awesome. So it's so cool to think through how it ties into and supports your content, is supplemental, a different way of consuming it. And in doing so, it also then helps you diversify your audience. And then speak a little bit to like description box optimization, like just how thoughtful. I think that sometimes a mistake we can make is not making it explicitly clear the steps people can make to get to our page or get the thing. Or sometimes even worse is we try to do that, but when I'm doing channel reviews and like our communities and stuff, sometimes I'll click on links and I'll be like, this is a dead link, or it goes, and you think, some people are like, I'm not sure why my email list isn't growing. You're like, well, there's no link to it. And when I click the link you thought there was to it, the link doesn't work. I mean, that might be thing one to fix. So this stuff could be overwhelming, but if you think through that process of transitioning, and actually a lot of our listeners do want to get leads and they want to build an email list, and they may just think that people are going to magically get there, but there might be some steps. How do you think about it in terms of like articulating in your video and helping people make it all the way on to being subscribed?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and if you're just listening, you're not seeing me, but right now I'm holding up a cookbook, a printable cookbook. And if you can show this in your video and show kind of how you're using it, like, oh, this is the recipe. People are like, oh, I want that. I want that, because some people do, like myself personally, I'm an elder millennial who loves stuff on paper, right? Even if you don't like stuff on paper, you can still put the PDF on your iPad and use it there. So I think if people see you using the freebie in your video, you just direct them, go down to the description box, click on that link, the call to action, I think, and I think it depends a lot on your audience, but I feel like most of my viewers now are sort of familiar with the description box. I say a lot in my content, hey, you know, I'm using this knife. I love it. I got it on Amazon. I'm going to link it in the description box below. So, you know, I say that a lot in my videos, because if I don't, people will ask me in my comments for the links. I need the link for this. I need the link for this. And so not only is it a way to, you know, build your email list, make affiliate income, but it's also just better. It's a better experience for your viewers, right? Because when people see you using things and they don't have that, they want to get that. And the easier and more seamless you can make that for them, the better off it is for everyone.
Such great advice. And the front half of this podcast has been packed with a lot of tactics that could take us to the next level, even some more advanced stuff. But I do want to now take it back in kind of this final section for when you were starting and lessons we could learn early on. Maybe we've already been doing this for years, but we're not monetized yet, or we're still having some challenges. If we go back to the beginning, you reached monetization in 9 months while working full time. What were some of maybe the early challenges and also the key decisions that accelerated your growth?
So I think the first thing to remember is, or when I think about back to kind of those early days, I never started off wanting to even make $1,000 on YouTube. I really had no idea of how the monetization system worked. I mean, I knew that you could make money on YouTube. Did I even dream that I would be able to do that? Not really. I mean, I thought in the beginning, I thought if I can make an extra $800 a month and pay for my family's groceries, how awesome would that be? Because it's like I have a hobby and I'm getting paid for my hobby and it's paying for my family's groceries. You know, I was thinking like really small. And so when I started, it was really just out of passion. And that's what I always tell people is that if you're going to do YouTube, you're going to work probably for a while for free. And so you better be liking what you're doing. Don't go into a niche that you don't like or aren't passionate about just because you think it has a high RPM or something like that, right? It'd be like if I knew that, oh, well, finance has, pays a lot. And so, no, I'm not passionate about finance, right? I don't want to teach people about finance. I don't want to relate to people about finance. And so I think choosing something that you're passionate about and also just experimenting, right? Especially take that time in the early days of your channel and try different things. You know, you don't have to be laser focused, niche down right away. What really helped my channel is just experimenting with different kind of buckets within the home cooking space, right? So I started posting meal prep videos and those just took off, right? And so once I figured out kind of what was working and what people wanted to watch, then I doubled down on that content, right? Then I think, oh, people want to watch meal prepping. I'm doing a meal prepping video every week, you know? And so every week people know they're going to come back and they're going to get that meal prep video. Oh, people really like Costco hauls. Okay, I can do one of those a month, you know? And so I think just kind of experimenting with different things and then also really knowing what the trends are at the time. When I was first starting out, the keto diet was like huge. It was keto, low carb was everywhere. And I was kind of doing it here and there. And so I started posting keto videos and those started taking off. So I think it's a combination of just experimenting, knowing what your audience wants to watch, and then also kind of what are the trendy topics that are being searched right now on YouTube.
Some really powerful insights we can all apply. And one of the things you also mentioned was a mindset shift related to negative comments. What was your experience with that? Was it unexpected, worse than you expected? And I know this, a lot of listeners, I think there's many fears that hold us back from maybe pressing record in the first place. We might be thinking about somebody we went from high school with that bullied us, and that's probably not thinking about us, but like, what are they going to think? What are people in my hometown going to think? What's my family going to think? Am I going to be criticized for this thing or that other thing?
You know, at the end of the day, anyone that's interacting with your video, whether they're leaving a positive or a negative comment, that means they watched at least part of the video. You know, they're putting views and money in your pocket. What's the thing you always say about going to the bank?
Yeah, I always see them in the comments, but I never see them at the bank.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, just being able to understand that if that person was standing right here in front of you, or you were sitting at a table with them having coffee, they would never say these things to you, right? The reason why some people say these things is because they can do it without any repercussions. They're an avatar, they're a username behind a screen. And that's all it is, right? They're not your friend, they're not your family, they're not your teacher, they're not your spouse, they're not anything to you, right? And so opinions are, I was probably going to say an inappropriate quote, but inappropriate quote, but I won't say it, but everyone has an opinion, right? And that doesn't mean it's right. But I think, some of those, some people really will get to your insecurities. I actually ended up getting braces a couple of years ago because so many people commented on how my teeth were crooked, right? And so, I guess at the end of the day, I took my extra money that I made from YouTube and went to the orthodontist and
The hater paid for your braces.
iPhone 16e has a durable design and ceramic shield because the average person drops their phone 208 times a year. Make that 209 once they see the price. iPhone 16e, latest iPhone, greatest price.
60% of women experience leaks with bladder protection pads. Try Always Discreet. It locks leaks in seconds to keep you drier and bunches 25% less often than Poise. Try Always Discreet. It's designed to protect.
The hater paid for your braces.
I guess. And I don't want to make it sound like it's all negative, right? Because the negativity can be really loud, but when you step back and objectively look at it, and I think about how many comments am I getting every day that are so positive? Thank you for your content. Thank you for being relatable. Thank you for being there. I just had a lady tell me the other day that, she had a really hard time in her life and my videos are what helped get her through it. That kind of stuff, that's what matters, right? Not like the very vocal 1% that's critiquing you on whatever. Look at your like ratio. It's probably 98%. And so I think it's a combination of just being true to yourself, knowing that you can't take those things personally because those people don't personally know you. And then just looking at it objectively, there's a lot more positive than negative.
That's all really encouraging. And I know sometimes comments still get to me. It gets better,
Yep.
but they still get to me. That's kind of like, hazard pay, I suppose. Like different jobs have different things that just come with the territory. And the sheer nature of putting something out on the internet, trying to not take it personally, because you're exactly right. They don't know you personally. I actually heard one person say, if they can't text you the criticism, then ignore it.
Ooh, I love that. That's
It's
great advice.
It's really good. Yeah. It's like, we should be open to constructive criticism, especially if we're doing something that's, harmful and so anyone who speaks the truth and love to us that's so powerful. But for them to actually have the context to know us, that's who we should be listening to. People are just zooming by on a snapshot. And to your point, we might see the haters in the comments, but we never see them at the bank. Like sometimes just the sheer nature of your content's being consumed is a positive thing. And the way that ad revenue works, it just helps move everything forward. A couple final questions here. I'm curious what the biggest impact of this success has been on your family, but even how you've transformed personally. I think a lot about the fact that silver play button, over 100,000 subscribers, $500,000 earned plus, there's those achievements and accolades, which are incredible. I also think about, you can't do YouTube at the level you've done it without experiencing some personal transformation. We really kind of have to become new people in the process. And I'm just wondering what that experience has been like and how it feels now as you reflect on your journey of the impact on your family and on you personally.
Yeah, that's such a good question. Sometimes I just think to myself, I run a business. I have a business. I'm a CEO of a business, right? And so that in and of itself is just wild to me because like I told you, when I first started, I thought, if I can pay for my groceries, that's fine. But to run a multiple six-figure business it's mind-blowing, right? And I've learned so much about, not just about online business, but about taxes and payroll and all of that stuff that you really don't want to learn about, but you kind of have to out of necessity. And I think just overall it has really done a lot for my confidence to do something and do it successfully. And I have to remind myself not to compare myself to other people, because sure, there's a lot of YouTubers who are way more successful than I am. I was just thinking the other day, well, I'm never going to get to 1 million subscribers. But then I thought, so what if I do? And what if I don't? Like, I can be happy in this current moment with what I have. And, I think, so yeah, I think owning a business, increasing my confidence. And then also I'm just really proud of the community that I've been able to kind of cultivate with my viewers. I really value authenticity. And so I don't ever sugarcoat anything. Like you were mentioning earlier about burning something in the kitchen. I show all that because that's going to happen, right? And at the end of the day, people just want to know you and relate to you, and learn something useful in the process.
It's such powerful stuff. I have one final question for you, but before I ask that, shout your stuff out. If people want to connect with you, check out your channel, anything you want to promote, and I want to make sure everything's in the show notes for you and for the listeners. But yeah, where can people follow with you, connect with you?
Yeah, so you can just search my name, Jen Chapin, Chapin on YouTube. Funny story, there's actually another Jen Chapin who is Harry Chapin, who is a singer, his daughter. That's not me. That's not me. I don't sing on YouTube. But if you search my name, you'll find my channel and lots of cooking videos. If you are wanting to figure out how to get dinner on the table for your family in a way that is accessible and easy and a lot of times budget friendly, check out my channel. You can also find me on Instagram. My handle over there is just @Jen Chapin. And then also in the show notes, there's going to be a link to download a free e-cookbook. So it's called the 1 Hour Freezer Fix. And basically I share with you how to take a shopping list of grocery ingredients, and you can prep 5 meals for your family in 1 hour. And it's only around $65. So you're going to have dinner for your family for the week for under $100, and your kids are going to like the recipes too. So,
man, what a valuable resource. As a newer dad of a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, I'm excited to check that out. And thank you for adding so much value on the podcast today. This final question is, if you were going to tell somebody who's watching this, who's working full time, but they're thinking they can't do this, or they're just thinking about self-doubt and a little bit overwhelmed, what would be some of your final, maybe inspirational insights and maybe some action steps that you would encourage them to take?
I think it's really important to think not about what you can't do, but think about what you can do, right? And a lot of times when you have a full-time job, you have to be really productive in those pockets of time that you have. So whether that's the 2 hours after your kids go to bed, or an hour before they get up in the morning, or even on the weekends when you have a longer block of time, when I think about my schedule, I think of all of that time that I'm not working as opportunity, right? So either it's an opportunity to spend time with my family, an opportunity to further my business, and an opportunity to, maybe have some self-care time. That's kind of how I look at it. And if you are persistent enough and you are consistent enough and you want it bad enough, you will find time to do it, even if it's in those small pockets of time.
Jen, thank you so much for adding value. And Think Media podcast community, thank you for listening today. If you got value, smash like and rate, share, review, subscribe wherever you watch or listen to the Think Media podcast. My name is Sean Cannell, your guide to building a profitable YouTube channel, and I'll connect with you in a future episode.
When you host, your bathroom can feel like a revolving door. Keep things fresh with Febreze Bathroom. It's an outlet-free air freshener that fights odors for 45 days. So even after every flush, you know your bathroom smells amazing.
A diaper this leak-free sets them free. Only Pampers Cruisers 360 have a 360 stretchy waistband for up to 100% leak-proof fit on every wild child. Pampers Cruisers 360, the #1 pull-on diaper.
If you haven't seen it yet, Google and YouTube did a brand new report revealing exactly what's working right now to get views and subscribers on YouTube. And in this video, I'm going to be covering 4 tactical things you can do immediately, plus 3 big themes from this report. But I want to address the elephant in the room, and that is YouTube gurus. The problem with YouTube gurus is a lot of them are sharing theories that are untested with maybe personalized data, but not big data that can be proven across multiple channels. And so while you want to make sure that if you're learning from somebody about how to grow on YouTube, they've got some results. That's why I didn't start teaching YouTube until I had generated 6 figures in a niche that's non-YouTube education. And then today have gotten 3 silver play buttons and a gold play button. But the bigger thing is that it's not just about what works personally for one channel or one niche, but what are the universal principles that you can apply so that you can get results no matter what your channel topic is. That's what we're going to be covering in this video. Welcome to the Think Media Podcast. Sean Cannell here, and I'm excited to dive into today's episode, which is based on a study that YouTube did and Google did of thousands of viewers and what their preferences are when it comes to content. And this study revealed a bunch of insights, so many that we actually have broken it across 3 episodes. This is episode 3. If you want to check out 1 and 2, we'll make sure those are listed in the show notes. And now let's jump into the first insight. Build a consistent theme on your channel instead of posting random videos. Here's the stat. Viewers are 100% more engaged with thematically consistent content. So the insight is connected content themes build stronger audience loyalty than random topics. And this brings up the question that all of us ask often. Do I need a niche on YouTube? Do I need a specific channel topic? That might be so constraining. Some people these days are saying the niche is you, like you're the niche. Or some people are saying you should have a really specific channel like gardening or just vertical gardening. And there's all kinds of debate. But here's where the debate stops. What you need is a theme. And what you need to avoid is just posting random videos that have no cohesion. So I think an application tip here would be answering this question. How does each new video reinforce your channel's core message? Which might reveal another question. What is your channel's core message? You know, when I think about Think Media, the brand, we now have our tech channel, and this is the more strategy video podcast. If I summed up our content in one word, it would be helping you with YouTube. The one word would be YouTube. I actually could take a step deeper than that, or maybe wider, and say video or video marketing. And so can you sum up your core theme in one word or one topic? What's fascinating is that when you do so, maybe your experience, if you've been a part of the Think Media podcast community, is, eventually we might talk about email marketing or how to package what you know in an online course, or how to, select the right camera or get views on YouTube, and maybe even time management, because if you're a busy mom or a busy entrepreneur and you're trying to do YouTube, you're juggling a lot of things. But here's what's interesting, right, is I hope it's coming across in our brand that it's in the context of YouTube, or it's in the context of helping you build your brand and make money with video. And so I think you need a theme. In fact, remember, it doesn't matter what any YouTube guru thinks. What's the real data show? What does proven success across the platform show? It shows that you should have a core message, because viewers are going to be 100% more engaged with thematically consistent content. And let me encourage you, the myth here I think that people get into trouble with is they have a breakout video. Viral videos are dangerous. They have a video that gets 10,000 views or 100,000 views or 1 million views. A short goes viral. And then they start thinking that, oh man, now I'm making it. Now I might get some reach. But just because you have a viral video doesn't mean you're building an engaged audience that is subscribing for a consistent core message. Random videos create random viewers. And no successful online business is about random stuff. And so as you plan your content and your greater channel strategy for the rest of the year, answer the question of how does each new video reinforce your channel's core message? Next insight. Communicate clear value promises in the first 30 seconds of your video. Here's the stat. 82% of viewers decide to stay watching a video based on the first 30 seconds. The insight is direct value statements outperform slow introductions. So one of the reasons why your views might be suffering is because the beginning of your videos are suffering. And you have to understand how YouTube works. If you have a good title, good topic, good thumbnail, and someone clicks through on the video, great. But if they jump off within the first 30 seconds, then that's going to harm the reach of the video. YouTube's not going to distribute it very far. So you want to be very thoughtful about what's happening in those first 30 seconds. And it's not a time for introducing yourself. It's not a time for a slow introduction. It's not a time for anything other than direct value statements. And even if you're doing entertainment, you want to grip attention in those first 30 seconds. Now, what's fascinating is if you log into your YouTube studio, there is under analytics an area that actually will tell you what percentage of your viewers are still watching at 30 seconds. So we know for a fact that YouTube cares about this specific metric. I have found that when I'm looking at that stat in YouTube analytics, that 50% of people are leaving my videos in the first 30 seconds. And sure enough, those videos don't do very well. It's interesting recently, though, as I continue to spend more attention on crafting the opening 30 seconds of my video, the hooks, my best have been like 9 out of 10. 92% are still watching at 30 seconds. So that's something to consider as you're crafting your intros of your videos, but it's also something to measure because what gets measured gets improved. So if you've been posting some YouTube videos, take some time to go into your YouTube analytics, analyze the results. And if you're watching the video version of the Fake Video Podcast and you have a chance to report your results in the comments, that'd be awesome. Because I'd love to know what insights you're getting, maybe from diving into your analytics. And here's the application. Answer this question before you press record. After this video, you will be able to what? Now, again, in entertainment, it might not be an educational result or something they've learned, but I wanted you to know that after this video, you're going to have at least 4 actionable tips and 3 big themes that can help you get more views and subscribers on YouTube this year. What's going to be the takeaway, and define the takeaway before the video starts. Next insight. Use every YouTube feature to help viewers navigate your content. Here's the stat. Channels using platform features show faster growth rates. This is fascinating. So of course we know that the content itself, videos themselves are what are going to get views, are going to grow your channel. But from the report, they realized that those who tap into YouTube's features, the insight is built-in tools. This improves the viewer experience and retention. There's something called session watch time, which is beyond just watch time. This is one good example. If you have a good video that has good watch time, that means people spend a lot of minutes on it. Maybe they even watch it till the end. That's great. But it'd be even better if they spend a longer session on YouTube, meaning they watch multiple videos. That might include your videos or other videos. But what YouTube loves is time on platform. They love it when people come to YouTube and stay on YouTube. So the best case scenario is you bring people to YouTube in some way, or when they get on YouTube, your video is recommended, or they search for it, or they find it. And as a result of watching your video, they stay on the platform. What's best for you is if they stay on the platform and keep watching more of your videos. They get into a binge session of your content, and tools are going to tap into that. At the end of your video, they click the end card and they go to another video. Think about this example. Maybe after this video, you didn't see part 1 and 2 and you want to go watch those. It'd be helpful if you did, because YouTube would be like, this session is longer. These videos are keeping people on the platform longer. But here's the other thing, is even if they don't watch more of your videos, if they stay on the platform, perhaps your video helps people learn new terms, new insights, new things they're curious about. So they just have a longer session period. There's a level of credit that YouTube gives to you. That's what's called session watch time. But let's talk about this in application. When we say YouTube tools, what are we talking about? Well, it includes many things. It could be YouTube chapters. That could be helpful. You can skip around in the video. The way you do that is in your YouTube description, you start with 0:00, which lets YouTube know, okay, these are about to be the time codes and chapters. And then if the next section of your video is at 5:32, 5:32, and you type out whatever that section is about, this now becomes clickable, searchable, organized structure to a video. That's called YouTube chapters and YouTube time codes. Now there's also cards, which could be clickable in the corner of the video. There's also how you organize the YouTube description, letting people have valuable resources there, maybe find other videos or things they're interested in, putting videos into playlists, the utilization of end screens, your utilization of YouTube Studio itself and optimizing things on the back end and understanding YouTube Studio, and even the community tab. Using your community tab to promote and cross-promote videos, engage with your community. Again, this principle from Google's report is that channels using platform features show faster growth rates. So I encourage you, commit to just mastery. I know these could all sound overwhelming, like there's so much to learn on YouTube. So just commit to learning something new every day. You can subscribe to this podcast. If you find this valuable wherever you watch or listen, rate, review, and just continue to come back. You learn a little bit more every single day. And also, if you want help, we actually do have, if you never heard about it, a coaching program. Maybe you would love to work with somebody. It's kind of like working with somebody in fitness and you want to get some results, so you hire a personal trainer. We have that at Think Media if you're interested. So if you want to inquire, if it's not right for you, then no big deal. But if you go to viralvideocoach.com, we'll link that in the show notes. You can fill out an application, and we only work with people that it's a great fit for, and it becomes a win-win. So viralvideocoach.com, if you want a personal trainer to get your YouTube game fit, tight results, and make it your best year ever. And other than that, keep studying out these features and these tools, because channels that use platform features show faster growth rates. Now, in a second, I'm going to give you the 3 biggest takeaways from the entire series. And I have some unique insights that I think will really help us this year. But let's hit the next insight out of a total of, I think, 15 across the 3-part episodes. Here we are. Let genuine passion and enthusiasm shine through. Here's the stat. Viewer memory increases 70% when creators show authentic excitement. Here's the insight. Real enthusiasm is more engaging than polished restraint. So I know when it comes to getting on camera, it can be nerve-wracking just to do it in the first place. We punch fear in the face, we start. But then sometimes I think we feel we have to get on camera and deliver well. And we maybe lose our personality and our enthusiasm by just trying to be pro, by trying to be a professional, by trying to be articulate or something. Here's what the stat reveals, that when you show up with real enthusiasm and you connect, hopefully your YouTube channel is about something you're truly passionate about. Hopefully you're talking about something that gets you pumped. And I'm sure that at certain times you might go down a train of thought, or happens to me, I start mentioning something that kind of fires me up. You want to roll with that. You want to roll with that passion. Because what's fascinating is viewer memory increases 70% when people show excitement. It's like dry information is cool, I'm getting facts, but I'll forget the content. If you want to be unforgettable, get a little uncomfortable by being yourself and showing real enthusiasm. And so the application is, don't be afraid to include moments where you naturally get excited about your topic. This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. StreamYard is our go-to platform here at Think Media for live streaming to Facebook and YouTube, and for recording our video podcast. It has an incredibly easy to use interface for built-in branding, transitions, text lower thirds, and seamlessly bringing on guests. And they just added an awesome new feature called local recording. This allows you to take the quality to another level by separating out your audio and video from your guests, giving you more control over your content for later use. This feature is perfect for video and podcast creators. And so to get a special deal on StreamYard right now and to see all the features that are included, just go to streamwiththink.com. That is streamwiththink.com. What's fascinating is there's this idea of react content. And there's been some stats that have come out that have revealed that a lot of millennials and Gen Zers actually prefer to watch sports or current events or things in the media or things in pop culture.
Can your pad flex with you without shifting? Always FlexFoam can. It's the only pad made with a flexible foam core with new and improved wings that fit securely for up to 0 bunching and 0 leaks. Can your pad do that? See what foam can do for you.
It's game time and the shot clock is running down on Subway's $6.99 foot-long deal. Fresh sliced deli meat, fresh crispy veggies. Too much good stuff. Order now in the Subway app. Use code 699FL now. Deals only here until March 13th.
Via their favorite streamer or their favorite YouTuber. So more than actually going and watching the news, they want to watch the news through someone like you reacting to it, because they find someone they can kind of hang out with. And, it's good or bad. One of the reasons for this is that there's more kind of loneliness and some fragmentation in culture around the world. So some people, I'm one of them, might sit down at lunch, turn on my phone, and instead of going and watching the news, I'll watch one of my favorite creators recap of the news and see their reactions, because it's like you're watching it with a friend, right? You're watching it with somebody that you have context with. And it is more interesting because the way they react, or when they show enthusiasm or excitement, it sticks with me, right? And so don't be afraid to include moments where you naturally get excited about your topic. But we're not done. In fact, this is probably the most important part of the video, because we're going to cover the 3 biggest takeaways from the 3-part series. Let's dive in. Number 1. The new YouTube authority comes from experience, not production. Here's what the research shows. Viewer trust and memory formation are highest when creators share real experience and genuine insights. This explains why channels built on authentic expertise consistently outgrow those built on production value alone. Your lived experience is your competitive advantage in an AI-driven world. What I love about this tip is it tells us why we won't be replaced by robots. So the future is bright for real creators like yourself. One of the reasons why I love this insight is because it's encouraging and tells us we won't be replaced by robots. One of the things we learned in a previous episode was about one of Google's ranking factors, or the way they evaluate websites, which was EEAT. It was experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness, which are human attributes. And I wrote down 3 things that I am going to try to apply this year that I think will benefit you as well, so that there is continuous growth on your YouTube channel and you don't get stuck or plateaued. Number 1 is commit to personal growth. If you want your YouTube channel to keep growing, you need to keep growing. You are the incubator for your content. One of the fears you might have when you start creating content on YouTube is, what if I run out of things to say? What if I eventually run out of topics to talk about? And the only reason that would happen is if you stop growing. But the cool thing is, if you keep growing, if you keep learning, if you keep having experiences, if you keep creating new stories because you're actually living this thing and challenging yourself and putting yourself out there, then you will continue to grow, and so will your YouTube channel. We talk about the 10% edge. You don't need to be a super expert to start on YouTube. You only need to be 10% ahead of the people you're helping. You only need to be 10% ahead of somebody else that's just getting started. But you will stall, and you will get stuck, and you will plateau if you don't continue to grow. And so commit to personal growth this year, meaning commit to gaining new experiences. I want to encourage you that you can start now. You can start with the experience you have, but I want to warn you, it's not going to be enough for the future. And that's okay. And you should feel a little pressure. You should feel a little bit like none of this is going to be guaranteed, but the future will take care of itself if you commit to personal growth today. The second application would be create new experiences and stories. I kind of already touched on that, but it's like, how can I continue to put myself in places of pressure so that I have new stories to tell? Personalized stories, like Google tells us, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. When someone's lived it, when they've done it, when they're not just on YouTube talking about it, but they're in the real world. That's why at Think Media, we use the term player coaches. Like whether it's Craig or Nate or Kyle, like we do this video production stuff. These guys have worked in colleges, and Kyle's doing church audio video lighting every single Sunday. And I've done all kinds of freelance work and all kinds of photography and all this different stuff. And we say this to all of our Think Media coaches who have their own YouTube channels. It's like, we aren't just coaches, we're player coaches. We want to stay in the game, getting new stories and experiences. Like I have a program called Video Ranking Academy. I didn't just rank videos 5 years ago. I ranked videos yesterday. Like I'm continuing, but it's also new stories. How did I do it? I want to encourage you in your niche, create new experiences this year, create new stories this year. And this is an interesting way of viewing the world where I think for the content creator, pain really can be reframed into something super positive, because the best stories are ones that are usually painful and have conflict and have challenge and are somewhat dramatic. So the pain you go through in your life, the mistakes you make, the experiments you do. See, there's no movie that is good if there's no conflict in the movie. There's no ups and downs. There's no wins and losses. There's no getting knocked down and coming back. There's no underdog to it. So could it be that your own personal story, all the trauma and the pain and the challenges you're going through, that's the very ingredients that leads to greatness on your YouTube channel. But furthermore, I want to challenge you. I'm really just speaking to myself. Don't get comfortable, Sean. Don't shrink back from stretching yourself into new territory and creating new stories. And also, sometimes life just happens. In fact, that's a guarantee to all of us, right? And as life's happening, setbacks, challenges, getting punched in the gut, getting the wind knocked out of you, having these different things happen, these are new experiences, these are new stories. And for the storyteller, for the content creator, we want to be in these experiences. So get into the mud, get into the conflict, get out there, try stuff. Don't be afraid to fail, because even your failures are lessons and content that can be teaching moments for your channel. If you want to have good and interesting stories to tell, you need to live a life full of good stories and interesting stories. And then lastly, number one of the 3 big insights from the report is stay endlessly curious. Be a source of epiphanies and insights by continuing to read, learn, and question. So if you feel like, again, your level of depth is here, that's fine. But you got to keep reading and keep studying. That's why for the content creator, you also do need to be a consumer. We say create more than you consume, but also strategically consume. What books are you reading? What is your PDP? What is your personal development plan? What online courses are you watching right now? What membership groups are you a part of? I joined a membership recently, and it's like a sacred hour-long session on my calendar every month that I'm not going to miss, because I always need to be learning more, having new epiphanies myself, which leads to new experiences, and experiments myself, which leads to new insights and stories, which then I can pass along to you. And so to be a great content creator, I think we have to be a strategic content consumer. Lifelong leaders are lifelong learners that are not randomly learning, but just never stop being curious about your subject matter. And I know that sometimes it might even get boring and redundant. So resell yourself, reinvigorate yourself, light your own fire, fan into flame your passion for your subject matter. Buy a couple more books, listen to a new podcast, listen to something about your subject matter or adjacent to give you different divergent ideas that bring fresh inspiration to your channel. That's when you'll stop being an echo and you'll start being a voice, because people are like, man, there's some freshness to this channel. This channel feels fresh, feels new. It's not just an echo of other channels. How's it happening? Because of your commitment to personal growth and the strategic consumption of smart materials, because you remain endlessly curious. Now, the second big takeaway from the entire report is build a content ecosystem, not just videos. And that was one of the tips in this video, but let's kind of break this down. When viewers actively engage with organized thematic content, their engagement doubles over time. This means sustainable channel growth comes from creating interconnected content that rewards deeper viewer investment, not from making disconnected videos hoping to go viral. And so let me just encourage you, catch a vision for a theme, catch a vision for, you're not just making random videos or just some niche YouTube channel. What's like the greater brand? What's the greater core message? What is the ecosystem of content, and how well are you communicating that to your audience to your viewers as you build one video at a time. And then the third big takeaway from this report from Google of all the tips, and remember, part 1 and part 2 will be linked up in the show notes and it's all organized in a playlist, is emotional resonance is the new view magnet. This is a big deal. Emotional resonance. I don't know if you're watching some AI content. It's cool. There's a time and place for it. It's going to be a wave. People are going to make a lot of money and get a lot of views off it. But man, you know what we want now? You know what the thing is in 2025 and beyond? It's emotional resonance. It's like real people living real life. We're looking for real connection. And so here's what brain imaging shows. Brain imaging research shows viewer retention and memory spike by over 70% when they feel an emotional connection. This means your ability to make viewers feel something, whether through storytelling, whether through shared experiences, or whether through genuine enthusiasm, is now more valuable than any technical skill. The big theme of the report was also that you need a baseline of audio and video production value, but that's not the magic sauce. The real sauce. If you want to be the sauce boss, you want to be emotionally connecting. Sometimes we feel like if we tell a story, some viewers might click off because all they want is information. That's okay. Let them go. Because there's going to be a lot of places to get information, including places like ChatGPT or whatever. But the emotional connection and the community you build is your only safety and consistency for building a strong personal brand or media brand year after year. So of course, don't waste people's time with endless stories that are poorly organized, but weave in experiences, enthusiasm, and storytelling into the content that you're creating, and you're going to create a better connection and get more views and subscribers this year. Now, if you enjoy episodes like this and you find them valuable, it would mean the world to me if you like, rate, review, and share the Think Media podcast wherever you watch or listen. My name is Sean Cannell, your guide to building a profitable YouTube channel, and I can't wait to connect with you in a future episode.
Try Always Discreet pads for bladder protection that bunches 25% less often than poise.
The chicken or the egg? The question isn't which came first. It's which comes with peanut butter. Duh.
Really, I had an interest in learning video and learning photo, and I've heard a few YouTubers like, hey, you should like try uploading once a week, right? So that was kind of my goal, and I didn't even do that, but I was just got my start uploading videos, and really, I didn't have a camera. I got started using my little iPod or an iPad, and but yeah, my first video was like the front-facing camera of my iPad screen. I didn't even have a set. It was just like me literally back up against a wall, poor lighting. But I just started making videos about filmmaking content, little camera rigs, and that was purely practice, Sean. It was just like me figuring out how to work behind camera, which is, I think people, that's the first block they have is they feel that overwhelm of not understanding everything. And they have all these expectations of trying to earn money when I think my journey's been 10 years and really my channel's only seen success, or my career in this YouTube world. I feel like I'm just now kind of reaping what I've been sowing for the past 10 years.
So what year was that?
That was 2014. Yeah, I did not answer your question at the beginning, but yeah, 2014 of May, I uploaded my first video, and yeah, it was just, I think I started my channel before then, but my first like legit kind of entryway into my niche of filmmaking was in 2014.
And how old were you?
I would have been 15.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 15 years old,
Yeah.
you start a YouTube channel, and it's interesting. So you're basically saying too that you invested 8 years into learning YouTube, and in the last 2 years, you've really seen things like, oh man, I'm reaping big rewards, bigger rewards. So, and the powerful insight though is so many people feel this pressure, like start a YouTube channel, they see other people doing it, they see that the money-making opportunities are real, but like, you got to just press record and start making some bad, weird, awkward videos without things being perfect. That's what you did.
Yeah, honestly, it was just making videos, and I didn't really have an expectation at first. You know, obviously I wanted to make money, but the idea of uploading to YouTube was cool, and I wanted to get my start with that. And then over time, you start learning, by looking up YouTube and how do you get better at this. My personality, I try to be as best as I can do at something. So really try to be excellent at the craft. So I started learning and, I saw some guy on YouTube, his name was Sean Cannell, did some lighting tutorials. And from there, even learning YouTube strategy, I remember the idea of understanding ranking videos, right? How to properly put out your title so people can actually see it. So it's not just camera accessory about some random product, but it's best budget camera, so kind of framing in a way that people are actually searching for a product. And that started like little bits of glimpses. To be honest, I just got started because I had an interest in the gear I was messing with. So reviewing the gear I've already owned, making videos about those, I didn't really have a monetary incentive to do that. I just wanted to do that. So from that, there's little grains further along the line of kind of what we do now is like, we talk about tech and gear and editing. So it's cool to see that kind of come full circle.
And how many subscribers does your channel have today?
Currently, my subscribers is around 44,000. So yeah, it's over 10 years. They may not seem like a lot, but it's something,
Yeah, that's amazing. And you, when did you first see Think Media then?
It must have been around 2017. That's probably the earliest thing I could remember. I probably saw like a few like lighting where you take the can lights and put them in place and bought some Home Depot can lights from that. But I want to say it's probably early days, 2017 for Think Media. Of course, you did videos before then, but I want to say around there's kind of where I started understanding the YouTube and how to rank videos.
Okay, so I mean, kind of the big idea here is like one of the reasons to be starting a YouTube channel, and it's a brilliant idea, even if nobody watches, is because it changes you. You learn new skills. It expands your world. You start in 2014. In 2017, you had posted 50 videos or over 50 videos, and you secured your first brand deal.
Yeah.
3 years later. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I got my first brand deal, which was super exciting for me. It was a microphone by Comica. Really, like, I didn't know really about it too much, but it was like, I want to say like a $30 or $40 product, right? But it was like, oh, I got my first brand deal, kind of, or, product, getting it for free. As a teenager, that was pretty cool. So I got the product, started reviewing it, and admittedly, like, I look back on the video and I probably could have done a lot better job now. But even that video still has multiple thousands of views over that time, and people were interested in it and bought it. So I think that was pretty cool to see a little bit of glimpse of starting to see a little bit of like a income or revenue stream, even though if it was a free product, treating that in a way of providing my honest opinion, all these things that you learn connecting to a brand, those are all skills that you need in order to build up. So you have to take small steps at a time.
So you didn't get paid, but you got a free product.
Yeah, free product. Yeah.
And then you also could link to it as an affiliate.
Yep.
Return the stolen Butterfingers, or walk the plank. No one lays a finger on your Butterfinger, ever.
By 20 plus years of reliability and innovation, LogMeIn solutions cut down complexity, unleash productivity, and let your teams take control of their entire IT infrastructure. Imagine a world without IT challenges with LogMeIn.
So you didn't get paid, but you got a free product.
Yeah, free product. Yeah.
And then you also could link to it as an affiliate.
Yep.
And so
I don't know at the time if I had like the Amazon Associates, if I was part of that. I think around 2017, probably later that year, I was officially in the Amazon program. And yeah, I think my first check was around like $20, which is pretty cool for passive income.
So maybe in 2017,
yeah,
$20 comes in from Amazon. You wrote down $749.32 was your first year of doing Amazon affiliates.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
But that's your third year of doing YouTube, and you're over 50 videos, and free products start coming your way. I think this is really encouraging to our community because it just speaks to, of course, people's journeys and pace is different.
Right.
But just building up one video at a time, and the fact that like this is not overnight riches. And so how did it feel when you had kind of reached that milestone of getting free product, at the end of a years into it, but like your first year making $749.32 as an Amazon affiliate, and realizing that the hustle still outweighed the amount of money you made.
Right.
But it's also a huge milestone because it's the creator economy and it's the beginning glimmers of what the future could hold. How did that all feel?
Yeah, I think to me, the mindset of how I earned the money was really important. You know, it was a form of passive income, even though you still put a lot of work into it at first. And, you know, people who are starting a channel today, you know, if you had my success, like, okay, you may not see even returns years to come, right? So it hasn't been like the most successful channel, but I think the way I've earned that, I started seeing how I could make a video and it pays me in 3 years and still does. And to where we fast forward, it's like, my channel's still earning me money, even though I'm right here, right now, talking to you. So I love that idea.
Yeah, that's a dream of Video Ranking Academy 2, our program. It's like we throw these videos out there and they can just keep bringing in, even if it's small, passive income. Okay, so then in 2019, you landed a cinematographer editor role at a small production company, and you attribute that to your YouTube portfolio and the acquired skills. So, okay, that's 5 years after starting a YouTube channel. Tell us about that role and how you connected your YouTube channel to like getting this really cool job.
So when we're making videos, what are we doing? We're getting confident in front of the camera, behind the camera. All these skills are important. And from there, I started doing, you know, free gigs here and there and helping out with little nonprofit videos. And so I had a very, very small portfolio work. Really, I couldn't do much with it, but I was trying to earn money in video. You know, YouTube wasn't exactly cutting out for me to make legitimate money at the time. So I'm like, okay, I need a job, but I want to be in video. Fortunately, around the time, you know, I've had that body of work is still evident that I'm committed to learning and growing, and I've done the work. So I'm very thankful that I had that from the get-go of just that body of work, even though it wasn't perfect. And that's what I admit is like, I probably cringe if I try to show some of those videos today, but all that being said, starting off with that simple idea, doing a video with excellence, and then when the opportunity came, right, when the opportunity knocked where there was a position, you know, I kind of went more creative route by submitting a video application to this job and used my skills as presenting. I knew if I just sent them a resume, I was going to be lost in the dark. They were not going to understand my personality. So let me shoot a video, be in front of the camera. Again, it wasn't perfect. I showed some little clips of things I've done, and that landed me my first real job in video. And being a cinematographer, editor, all those skills, I was really getting a lot of experience. And even though that job at the start, you know, it was entry level, like $10 an hour. It wasn't great, but I'd rather be doing that and learning than just, you know, working at Chick-fil-A somewhere, you know.
Yeah, that's actually, you know, it's fascinating because when we went through the hardest season of our life in 2009, and my wife almost died, and the church, I was part-time out, fell apart, and the housing recession, we started a YouTube channel called Think International, Jeff Moores and I, which was kind of like a faith-based interview leadership show on YouTube. We didn't really know what we were doing, but it was some pretty cool stuff, grew to 10,000 subscribers. As we found ourselves in a hard season, and that project wasn't bringing in very much money at all, I had done a little bit of YouTube stuff, Think Media, that was kind of when it started. But to your point, like some free product and a few dollars was the initial income I needed to support my family. I eventually got hired at a church in Las Vegas as the director of communications with a salary, with healthcare. And the reason I got the job was my YouTube portfolio and the skills I had acquired from interning at a church in terms of social media and some leadership stuff and whatnot, but really from YouTube itself. Because when you start creating YouTube content, it forces you into like a crucible of personal growth.
Oh, absolutely. 100% agree.
And then you encounter things that can be overwhelming, like analytics. These don't make sense. Like, how do you write a good title?
Now you're a data analyst, right?
Yeah, you're a data analyst, a graphic designer, a pro copywriter to write titles, a cinematographer, and the talent.
Yeah.
And
all those are lifelong skills too, which is really cool. So even if you started a channel, even if that, like, if my channel didn't succeed, I still learned the things that provide me skills to this day, where I do feel comfortable talking in front of a camera and not feel deathly afraid of it as much. So all those things, I think that's our other point, is just like kind of the skill building. I mean, it's being in front of the camera as far as communication. What do you want to say in a concise manner? Be more confident speaking in general. I had a few opportunities where I was talking on stage and I'm like, this is weirdly comfortable in me. I'm sure I would have been much more terrified had I not, just saw myself talking in front of the camera. Meanwhile, if you're editing your own videos, I think people starting a channel should at least learn editing to some degree so you know what's possible and how you can better craft your message. These are all skills that you can take with you in endless jobs if you are trying to present for your boss. And I can imagine editing is just as equally as important if you want to show a video presentation. It's much more effective communication.
For sharing. Who's next?
I stay awake at night worrying that my security service isn't cutting it. I couldn't help overhearing your security insecurity. Bailarm is your all-in-one security partner. Rest easy knowing everything is secure.
Cats lose their cool for Temptations creamy puree.
Yeah, and if you're 15 or 45 or 55 and listening to this, I heard Warren Buffett, probably the world's kind of most famous investor, say that communication skills are the greatest skills anybody could acquire. So if we're on this big idea of why starting a YouTube channel is a brilliant idea, even if nobody watches, it's because you're increasing your value and you're increasing your skills, and you never know what doors of opportunity that might open. Now, I want to go to 2020 in a second, but if we stick on 2019, your work involves some promotional videos, some commercials, some mini documentaries. You're one of the content creators at Think Media right now. You've been putting out some videos. You've found that, we have a whole process, and you were studying that process even before, as early as 2017. But we try to hold ourselves to a standard of excellence. So somebody that comes on our team kind of in that content creation capacity, they need a lot of skills, and they almost need hard skills and soft skills. It's it's not just how to video edit, or it's not even just how to communicate, but all the way down to, man, what are some of the most powerful things you could say at the beginning of the video to keep people watching? And it's also maybe the arc and storytelling, and just a lot of nuances. And it's the kind of stuff that really nobody learns in a year or two, but that they learn over years. I am curious if you think about, a lot of people listening to this probably are like, well, I don't want to go get a job like that. But in doing so, especially in relation to getting views on YouTube, ranking videos, how to craft a YouTube video, did you learn lessons from commercials, mini documentaries,
Absolutely.
promotion videos? What's some of the...
One of my favorite examples, and I think it's the clearest way to demonstrate this, is having edited promotional videos or interviews. I was thrown into a world I didn't really understand. I had edited videos, edited YouTube videos, but when you're asked to edit down a 30-minute interview to 2 minutes, and then to make a 30-second commercial of that, to make a 15-second version of that, telling a story in 6 seconds, there's not a lot to say about that, but that was one of the skills I think even applied to when I started working at Think Media. One example is you did a video about what did you do if you started a YouTube channel in 2023, 2024, and you wanted it to be concise. Let's shorten this down. And I probably just went way overboard and made it super concise, cut it down to 6 minutes.
From over 30, I think.
Yeah. So taking a message was still great, but it was, fluffy, and it could be cut down to be more effective. So I already had that skill of knowing what is absolutely crucial to this, what things are just extra points are not necessary, cutting those out and delivering on a video. And YouTube is a different strategy, but I think those are remnants of things that you just look at a video differently. So that's a very specific example, but I think that's kind of overall, not only that, I think communication, like we were talking about before, one thing that a coworker told me is always try to learn to over communicate. And I honestly, looking at even myself, it's people suck at communication. Even though when we think we do communicate, things still fall through, or you assume someone else knows something. So to learn to over communicate, more than that's what necessary is, even though it seems obvious, I'll tell you again, hey, I'm working on this thing, doing this and this. All of that is super those are professional skills you are learning for your business, and yeah, that goes throughout your whole career.
Hey, we're about to get back into the podcast in just a second, but I have a question for you. Do you want to grow your personal brand this year? Do you need more leads and sales in your business? If the answer is yes, then right now is the best time to go all in on YouTube. Today's podcast is brought to you by thinkmasterclass.com, where you can get on-demand access to a 1-hour deep dive training revealing how to start and grow a profitable YouTube channel this year. For a limited time, you can get access to this on-demand class entirely for free, where you will learn the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when starting a YouTube channel, the new rules and changes that have been happening on YouTube and how you can use them to create an unfair advantage, and the exact strategy we use at Think Media to generate over 350,000 organic views every single day. The data is clear. 70% of viewers claim that YouTube makes them more aware of new brands. So don't wait any longer to start growing your brand and business with YouTube. Just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to this no-fluff, highly tactical, free on-demand training. That's thinkmasterclass.com. And I want people to lean in. Like, one, you are a video editing assassin. And there's levels to the game, because sometimes people are maybe looking for a video editor. They're thinking about, oh, cool, I can get a video editor in the US or on onlinejobs.ph. And they look at like, oh, they're a video editor. You're like, okay, well, we could score that at a lot of different levels. And your point, and this is one huge takeaway, there are probably videos or video podcasts that listeners to this have that are more long-winded, and they might think it's crazy that if their 24-minute piece of content could turn into 12. I could cut half of that out. It's like, yeah, you could.
Yeah.
And beyond that, you have been now for years at Think Media, the surgeon that is able to also, I mean, I kind of have a reputation too for being long-winded, landing the plane. You land the plane, like you force
emergency
me,
crash landing.
You crash land the plane for me, but yet it also is crazy because it works. But that is seeing the possibility in YouTube video lengths, and I think that just so that it's very tangible, if you're listening to this, sometimes I think people, even in a video podcast format or something like this, it's very possible that this conversation that may end up being 40 minutes will hit YouTube, and there'll be a
15-minute,
It'll be a 15-minute version, and like both will have benefits to them. But listening to this, imagine trimming down your content, trimming the fluff. There's actually a line from one of the members of the hip hop group, the Wu-Tang Clan, that says, too many rappers, their rhymes are too long. Make it brief, son. Half short and twice strong.
I love that. Yeah.
Half short, twice strong. And you do that all the time. It's like we had my Benji conversation about vlogging, closer to 2 hours. The 44-minute version is now crushing.
Yeah.
And so just think about how that might apply to your library if you're listening to this. And also think, well, man, that seems hard. One other takeaway.
It's learnable.
It's learnable. And one other takeaway, we go really deep in our Video Rate Academy program about this in VRA Masters, with this idea of different video formats, that all of us will get smarter if we challenge ourselves to do different formats. Talking head is one type of format. Video podcasting and conversing it's another skill. That's challenging. Live streaming is a different format. Video essays you make video essays on your channel, these really rich storytelling, voiceover clips, fair use. That's a different format.
And I'll say too, like short form, as much hate and all that brings, I think there's actually probably a healthy level where you're telling a story in 60 seconds. That's a skill you're still learning. And I think for those people who maybe start off with shorts and them learning to go into long form, I think that's probably a surprising upside from them knowing how time sensitive people's attention spans are.
Yeah, it's a great point. And so the action item is challenge yourself to try a format you haven't tried before.
Yeah.
And like a mini video essay, let's say, and you made mini documentaries, so it might sound like overwhelming, but those crush on YouTube if you do them right. And it might be, instead of your typical talking head videos, it takes you a week to sit down and pull in photography and clips and some other things and write a script and write a voiceover. Even if you don't stick with that format, you're better for it. We're talking about growth. We're talking about development. It might improve what your main thing is. So let's hit 2020. You then secure a brand deal with SynMatch, which is a color grading plugin, at 13,000 subscribers. What was the terms of the deal?
Yeah, so that was a color grading platform that they were like, hey, like, can you show this off? And it's kind of like a plugin they can use in Premiere or DaVinci Resolve. So at the time I was using Premiere Pro and showcasing that. And to me, first and foremost, anything that I wanted to especially change money for, it's like, do I believe in this tool? I think that was really important to my authenticity on the channel is, does this thing work? And do I believe in it? Is it worth the price point? So that at the time, I believe was just an exchange for, they provide me a free license. So cool, I get a tool now in my kit that I can use. And then monetary incentive. So it was like, I think it's $500 at the time, right? $500 in my pocket, which is cool, especially if you come from just making videos and making gear reviews. You don't see the money until much later. So if you can get money right off the bat, obviously that can help you hire an editor, help you move forward in making content. So for that one, I was on top of the world getting $500, you know, starting off and getting a free thing and yeah, just going in depth with that. So I was learning also that balance of how you be genuine with a product, but also you're taking money for it, not to over pander to its good points, like where does it need criticism? So again, like we're talking about growth, there's throughout the whole process, there is that.
And then in 2022, you started working for Think Media.
Yeah.
And your YouTube experience and connections were instrumental in securing the position. So this was on part of your journey. You've got your filmmaking channel. You start working at Think. Tell listeners how even like that door opens and how those connections are made and how all the way back to starting a YouTube channel in 2024 led to where we are now.
Yeah, there's a total side of this, of your YouTube journey that we forgot to mention, and that is the networking, the connections you meet along the way. When you start putting out videos, you're going to find people with similar interests that are going to come to your channel, that you're going to go to their channel. You start building friendships. And so one friendship that I made along the way was Nolan Moe, you know? And
where'd you guys meet?
Just on YouTube. I saw one of his YouTube gear reviews. I think he was like using an iPhone to get better audio. I thought, this kid's funny. So I want to also like connect with him, you know? And I knew also too, like his faith, and I related to that. So that was another deeper connection. So from that, we already had that previous relationship there. When the time came when you guys were looking for a video editor, I didn't know that. You know, I only knew because he had posted something, he reshared it. And that's kind of how those things start off, is one connection at a time just branches off to a whole new thing. I think when I met him, I don't think he was working at Think Media. And again, it was an online friendship, so that has its own merits to that. And just the constant encouragement of growing on YouTube.
Let me ask you practically.
Yeah.
Someone's listening to this, but like, how did you meet? DMs, Instagram?
Yeah, I think it was first and foremost a YouTube comment. So if you appreciate and you watch someone, I think an underrated thing is to go and leave comments, build a connection, right? I think a lot of people like have hopes to work with another channel. I want to work with MKBHD, right? Of course, you know, what benefit does he have to, you know, connect with me? But there's 50 other channels of my size in my niche that I can reach out to and have those friendships, and you can all grow together. So a simple YouTube comment, I think, is your entryway. And for me, I like to inject humor. So it probably is a little witty comment, and then back and forth. And then I think from then it led to Instagram, DMs, and further conversations about growing on YouTube. And then from that point, yeah, it's like I already had that connection. The job opened up, and at that point I was kind of maxed out my previous position. I wanted to learn and grow more, and so the opportunity, I think God's timing, all of that allowed for the opportunity for me to work here.
You know, there's some interesting insights there. I think one is like, get your brand right and clean up your channel. Like, if you're listening to this, you at that point though, you had a channel, you have an avatar, you have a cover image, you had done videos, you had some history, you had some momentum. Even if the channel's not big, right? It was your personal brand. It was cleaned up. And so
I'll pause you real quick, because I also want to mention, you always say start messy. My channel was very messy.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like that now, but over that 10 years, we learned a lot to where it does look polished now, but that was never always the case.
But when you commented on Nolan's thing, did you have an avatar?
Yeah, a personal profile picture, or me like holding a camera, probably.
And so I know that's kind of what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
because there's so many people
just
who might be like
in on there.
Yeah, they just got like a letter.
Yeah.
And they've got some weird vertical videos of some like sketchy vacation they took, and they're like,
where's the evidence that you know what you're talking about?
Yeah, like, and so that's kind of what I mean is it doesn't have to be fancy or super polished, but just those basics of like, that is like the social media currency. It's kind of like if you were going to make eye contact, look somebody in the eye, talking to them at a networking party. You might go to the party. You might actually take a shower that day and like put on your nice shirt and like then look them in the eye, as opposed to you're not going to hide. You're not going to turn your Zoom camera off and be like, hey, like you can walk right up to them, shake their hand, hey. And on the digital currency of that is like wherever you reach out. And then not only that is then if you also link your social media accounts, I don't think you need to get distracted as a YouTube content creator with like consistently posting on Instagram, but there's something about getting your personal brand right in these different places. The reason to have a Twitter X account and Instagram, it can lead to brand deals, networking, but like no profile picture. I can't tell anything about you in your bio. It's unclear. You haven't made a statement. No links, nowhere. And it's hard to like follow around. I go to your YouTube channel. I click links in your bio. 3 of the links are dead. You haven't updated your website in 2 years. Just a tip for listeners. This networking part is real, but action items is like clean up your brand, clean up your links. It doesn't have to be super fancy.
There's a Bible verse talks about do what's that in the least. You know, God's going, if God's giving you opportunity, then you got to deal with what already you have, and those little things, like having a professional photo, doesn't have to be great, but if you take care of those small things, then can you handle the bigger thing?
Yeah, he who is faithful with little will be entrusted with more.
That, yeah.
It's really good. And so I love that. And I think then the other thing is we don't get what we want in life. We get who we are. So there's something about, I think, maybe you want to work at a place like Think Media or for MKBHD, or you want open doors, so you want more followers. Well, who doesn't? The question is, who are you becoming? And so it's a big takeaway to think about, like, why it's brilliant to start a YouTube channel, even if nobody watches, is because it'll change you. It'll force you to level up. Doing all of these activities forces you to level up, and you end up attracting who you are, not what you want. Like I want, to be connected with other ambitious, creative, innovative, iron sharpens iron type of people in the creator economy. Well, you don't get what you want, you get who you are. And so I think it's cool that you put in the work, and it led to ultimately working at Think Media. So here's a question, is then since being at Think Media, as we land the plane, what are maybe some of the takeaways from being at a place like Think Media for coming on 3 years, 2 years, last 2 years and going into year 3, that maybe some lessons you've learned that have helped you, again, advance in your career and grow?
Yeah. Every job always going to have it's like a new level up in a video game. Okay, there's a new challenge I didn't foresee. So how do you navigate this? And I think for me, what I've learned so far at this job is a sense of ownership over things. When I was working for clients, they have a say of what they want, and you're always trying to guess what they want, and they may not be clear, so you're trying to interpret that. But you guys, I would admit, like coming on as an editor, you're like, all right, we trust Nathan to make this video as good as we can. And so having that, taking more risk with some things, building it out, I think that is very important in any creative thing you do, or just as a business, is having that level of ownership over things. And so having that skill, I think also just with the community at Think Media, I think I've become more myself. And maybe to a detriment, I maybe go unhinged with some humor, but I think I have become a little bit more comfortable in my own skin. And I think that's just evident, with the culture you've kind of instilled in the company for those who want to be around like-minded individuals. And I think larger too is like the shared faith aspect is another element. Not that always that needs to be the case, but I think it is important. So I think between those are skills that I've learned and still always learning. I think getting better at live interactions, conversations, getting better at. Here's a great point. Because I do filmmaking content, I start speaking at a high level and I learn all these cool jargon words. And you guys are constantly saying, hey, explain this for a beginner, distill it down so you can understand fundamentals. So a beginner doesn't have to know these jargon words that's just going to further confuse them. So I'm like, okay, I need to take a step back. I need to really understand, be in the shoes of the viewer, take myself back to when I started editing. And what would I tell myself starting now? And that kind of completely full circles, learning all through my career, learning from you as a mentor along the way. Until now, I'm teaching you guys. It's kind of weird, but it's cool.
I love it. And I have a couple final tips that you wrote in our notes ahead of time that I want to share. Maybe you have some thoughts on those. But before I hit those, if somebody was listening that would be like, hey, I would actually love to be like a Think Media content creator. I've seen that you have had people on the channel over the years. And of course, it's been the cameras and lenses and incredible people like Nolan and Omar and Heather, different people. But even too, future is bright. And we can see like this creator economy thing is pretty broad. So we look at, okay, social media, YouTube, gear, live streaming, all this different stuff. If somebody was like, man, I would love to work at Think Media or a place like that, most our place, like, what advice would you give to them? Just off the top of your head, if you thought, like, if that's your ambition, here's what I'd recommend you do today.
Yeah, I think you kind of said it. It's like you have to put in the work to where you want to be. So if you have a vision of wanting to be working at Think Media, for example, what are the practices you need to learn along the way? I would say you should have a YouTube channel if you want to work here. To understand that world is a huge, huge thing. If you have videos and they're of some quality, I think more consistency, if anything, consistency and regularly uploading. I still admit I had not set out my goal to be one a week. I don't think I ever really did that. Of course, I was doing other things, learning and growing, taking jobs. So I would say have a YouTube channel, start learning those things. And then when the time is right, I think if an opportunity opens up, and then also taking just impressive action. I think, again, why I got my job working at that production company was because I sent a video. I would have not probably been seen if it was a piece of paper because I had zero experience in terms of other jobs or other things. But if I led with my strengths. So if you want to, like, let's say you want to be an editor at Think Media, take one of our podcasts, re-edit it, send it to us.
Yeah.
Where's the evidence we can actually see? Because we have a lot of people who would love to work with us, but I have no idea what their skills are capable of. I don't know their integrity. I don't know, heck, if they're even the same time zone or similar. Of course, we're very remote and have different things. But I also would distill it back to your attitude. I think one thing I'm very thankful of is having that excellence, and also, even if you're not proficient at anything, if you're fun to be around, I think that leads to other opportunities. If you can be fun, but also serious when you need to be, I think just having a good attitude, being a team player, trumps skills.
It's powerful. Well, I've got 8 tips for why starting a YouTube channel is a brilliant idea, even if nobody watches, as kind of a summary that I want to make sure that listeners get, and kind of a rapid fire, and then you could give me any of your final thoughts on these. So these are kind of takeaways. So starting a YouTube channel is a brilliant idea, even if you don't get views. Number one, because of practice and learning. If you begin with no expectations, prioritizing skill development and experimentation, you'll learn and grow. Number two, around 1,000 subscribers, you invested in a cheap microphone. And there's something about investing in your channel. And so you don't have to do it right at the start. You started with a smartphone, but investing as you go, even small investments can up your production quality. Number three, leverage your YouTube channel for job opportunities. Who knows what starting a YouTube channel could do to leading to other jobs. Number four, eventually you got monetized on your channel. You can make money through ad revenue. So now people do start to watch, you start making money. Number five, you started doing affiliate marketing, earning commissions, even your first year doing that, over $700. Number 6, it starts attracting free gear. So even if brands don't pay you yet, you can start getting free gear or free products related to your channel. Number 7, you started to get paid for brand deals and sponsorships. And then number 8, expand your network. It led to meeting other people, other industry professionals, meeting YouTube friends and online friends. And ultimately, you're now at Think Media as one of our content creators, and future is bright. And it's been a crazy journey, all because you decided to punch fear in the face, punch perfectionism in the face, and press record and start a YouTube channel. Any final takeaways on that recap of the whole journey?
I have so many friends that come to me as like, I want to start a YouTube channel. They still haven't posted a video. Don't overthink it. Start messy. That's the only way to grow.
Save on select bath essentials right now at Hobby Lobby with an incredible selection of bath mats, towels, and bathroom decor. The bathroom refresh of your dreams is in reach. So come save on select bath essentials today. Home is what you make it.
Roku Ads Manager puts Roku's reach within your reach. Sign up at ads.roku.com.
Nurture your marriage, raise kids. And so it'd be interesting to unpack this. Kyle, like any thoughts at a high level, like creator teams versus solo from your perspective, and we'll dive into like some of the pros and cons we see.
Creator teams versus solo. Well, obviously I love teams because I am on a team. I have never been a solo creator. I am just standing on the shoulders of Sean, who was a solo creator, and now I'm able to come in and be a full-time YouTuber, essentially. I get paid full-time for doing YouTube, packaging videos, video concepts, ideas, thumbnail ideas, as leading the content team. And so it's actually an awesome job, and people don't realize in 2025, you can be a full-time YouTuber and not even make a single video.
Yeah, it's a great point. And obviously for some, they might be like, oh, well, I thought, but I want to be on camera. Well, that's a self-awareness question. But at the end of the day, even sort of like this dream of passive income or whatever it is, it's like I've optimized our business with a value for marriage, with a value for family, but like I'm still working full time. And so what does it look like? And I'm actually kind of creating less, still a lot because we have this incredible team, but also operating. So even just the different seasons of life, leadership, making videos, does it start to grow? And what I want listeners, of course, to take away is, yesterday Logan was talking about, man, she was on the podcast when we were recording, and she was like, I haven't even been on this side as much. I've been on like the customer service team. So YouTube, the future of YouTube is a lot of these media companies and creator teams, which are giving you the ability to work. If you love creative or you love design or you love photography or you just love people and you want to do customer service or project management and you kind of just love the creator economy, there's no reason why you couldn't work full time in the creator economy. It just might look different than you think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so one of the points of this episode would then maybe be breaking down tactically and then maybe a few tips at the end. What are the pros of being solo though versus the pros of being on a team and the cons? And so let's start with pros of solo. So Craig, you're talking about, you really had a path. It might have been an unsustainable path and there's different things there, but we wrote down the pros of being a solo creator: no deadlines or bosses.
Yeah, that's fair.
Creative freedom, no one telling you what to do. You can do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Keep 100% of the earnings. Personal branding, because everything's personal, and then flexibility, and then scalability, theoretically infinite scalability into however far you want to take it. Any thoughts on those?
Yeah, I think the main thing that I would touch on is the flexibility piece. When you're a solo creator, you're able to manage your own schedule and make videos only when you can make them. And in my experience, it got kind of taxing because I'd make them in the hours in which I could be doing other things like investing in my marriage and spending time with my kids. But I would use that free time to then make content because I wanted to build towards a future of, financial freedom and stability and a full-time creator role. But it takes work to get there. And so for me, it was like a lot of pressure to okay, I've got to put out these videos. Like, Macy, I'm sorry for going up in the studio day after day. So I think ultimately my favorite piece of my solar creator season was the ability to just decide what my schedule looks like, when I'm going to create content, and I could be kind of flexible and even chase trends a little bit. If there was something viral that was happening in the tech world and I wanted to really create content around that piece, I could tackle that and then be freed up for maybe a week or two and until I have creative energy again to tackle a different kind of subject.
Yes, so those are definitely some of the pros, but of course the Lone Ranger solo creator path also comes with a lot of cons, and even some of the overlap. Like if you are solo and you want to just not post a video and take care of your mental health, cool, but also you're not going to make progress. So having constraints, having a little bit of pressure could be good. So no deadlines and accountability could be a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure.
If you have structure, I think a self-awareness piece is how self-motivated are you? And also cons of being solo is for sure you get to keep 100% of the earnings, but you are 100% responsible for your own taxes, your own risk, your own overhead, no safety net. You are also your own CFO. So you plug into a team, and there's, of course,
Can your pad absorb everything and stay fresh? Always Flex Foam can. The only pad made with the flexible foam core that locks in blood and sweat while the top stays dry, keeping you up to 100% leak and odor-free. See what foam can do for you.
Why is it so good?
Buttery, salty.
It's annoying.
a lot more stability, and you on being solo, you ultimately are owner, operator, creator, as opposed to maybe being able to focus on the piece you love the most. And I think having a self-awareness of like, are you even able to be owner, operator, creator, able to be, let alone have the desire to be? Do you even want to learn those kind of skill sets? Do you have those skill sets? Is it too much pressure? Do you even want that much pressure? And then, we looked this up. I think even ChatGPT was like, there's a higher chance of burnout because the workload is heavier. You take all the risk, you get all the reward, but there's also, it's a heavy burnout chance. And we see that a lot. We see creators that are on that solo path. I mean, it says if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
You might even go a little bit slower, but there's like safety in numbers. So Kyle, any thoughts on like this pros and cons of just kind of being solo versus the strength of a team?
Well, there's so much to unpack here, but there's so many people that are creative and want to have a creative outlet and are very gifted and talented, but they lack maybe the confidence to start out or the capabilities of just gear to start out and do their own thing. But everybody can learn and start off with a team. And YouTube is one of the fastest growing small businesses right now. So there's YouTube businesses at every level, like very high quality and also very low quality. And every business needs a YouTube channel essentially right now, and people are realizing that. So you can get into being full-time on YouTube, or even being working for a business as their media company, and start learning the business with somebody hiring you and learning YouTube and growing in that skill. So in 2015, I actually didn't have a whole lot of media experience. We met at a church a while back, but you just knew that I was able to learn. That's it. And so I told you, I haven't touched an editing software in like 6 years because I was a full-time musician at the time. And you're like, oh, I trust you, you'll learn. That was it. And I was like, okay. And so I learned on the job. And here we are today. This is my studio, cameras, everything. I help produce the podcast and also Think Media main channel. But I learned it on the job. And that the YouTube business was an opportunity for that. And I could make YouTube videos, and I have before. But for the most part, I work full-time on YouTube. I get a salary. I have health insurance. I get days off. It's amazing.
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. StreamYard is our go-to platform here at Think Media for live streaming to Facebook and YouTube, and for recording our video podcast. It has an incredibly easy-to-use interface for built-in branding, transitions, text lower thirds, and seamlessly bringing on guests. And they just added an awesome new feature called local recording. recording. This allows you to take the quality to another level by separating out your audio and video from your guests, giving you more control over your content for later use. This feature is perfect for video and podcast creators. And so to get a special deal on StreamYard right now and to see all the features that are included, just go to streamwiththink.com. That is streamwiththink.com. And there's actually, it's interesting if people see behind the scenes here, this is Anderson Studios, your house.
Yes.
You don't have to have a roommate because you get rental income from us, which is taxed
I'm the
at a
best
better
roommate. It's the studio.
Yeah, the rental income is Think Media renting this from you. And so really creative ways of setting it up. And I love that you say that because it is kind of crazy to think as we reflect on our journey that like you're overseeing like a team of upwards towards like 10 people now. And you're an incredible leader and you have a crazy Swiss Army knife of skill sets.
Yeah.
All the way from, I mean, you're a full-time musician and you were working in a warehouse, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was working full-time at a church and I ended up leaving that job to help plant a church. And so a church plant, you don't instantly get hired on a church. It's nothing. There was like 6 people to start with. And so I was doing whatever job I could and I was working in a warehouse and then helping set up, tear down, play drums on the worship team, lead that whole thing. And then that's what I was doing full time.
And you came on also as like an admin assistant answering emails.
Which I'm the worst admin assistant, by the way. But whatever, I took whatever I could get,
Yeah.
And I was working with brands, emails, like my lowest skill quality.
Well, and Sonia, you were like the first.
Yeah.
Sonia and I had no clue what we were doing. And I mean, just kind of getting, we were just getting started, but it's kind of crazy what it's turned into. And in 2025, there are so many other businesses that they're building up mini media companies and you could be a part of that growing process. So you also, if you're going to come into like even Think Media, I mean, unless you came in kind of more like an intern wanting to learn or like a junior type of position, but maybe a more established media company, you need some experience in history.
Yeah.
But there's maybe somebody else in their journey that's kind of like where we were early on. That's like, I'm just looking for someone to like rally. Can we grow this thing together? And man, it's kind of crazy to think about that journey. Well, let's talk about some of the pros of a team. And here's what I put. The pros of a team, if you could find the right team. Now, it's one thing for me to self-describe Think Media, but of course, from your perspective, it'd be a lot more, I might think it's the best. You're like, it's actually super toxic here, bro. It's like really not good. But I mean, at least what we're trying to do, and I think maybe because I value freedom, I value creative freedom. I've been a part of different organizations where I felt like there was a lid in leadership. I've tried to, as much as possible, tear those lids off at Think Media. I've been a part where it did feel like, the creative department and other departments didn't communicate well. So I actually think that you don't have to lose creative freedom if you find the right team. So like we had just asked before, do you feel like you have creative freedom?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if anything, I feel like my creativity can be enhanced through our team structure because I'll come to the group with ideas for videos or thumbnail concepts or titles. And I think it's the greatest idea in the world. I'm like, this video is going to kill, right? And then we get other voices and opinions and minds who also were very creative in the room to speak into that idea that I maybe had. That wasn't optimal. It wasn't optimized for positioning or ranking and search. And really, I just feel like my ideas have been enhanced as I've been a part of this team, even just such a short amount of time, because they're on my personal channel. All of the ideas I've had here would not have looked the same as they do on the Think Media channel because we have a full team speaking into that creative process.
There's also, you get 100% of the earnings, of course, and 100% of the risk at solo. But I think there also, if you're on the right team, there's still creative financial upside, and there doesn't have to be a cap on your earnings. And so performance-based compensation, it looks different. You're in a leadership role, but there's like a profit share that team directors get. You're in a content creator role. There's profit share connected to ad revenue and different things based on performance. So if even you're thinking about this, like, you have your ability to negotiate and the ability to, I think, Kyle, you could probably speak best to it. You're making a lot more money now than when you started coming out of that warehouse. I think I was bro, let me just match instead of folding shirts.
Oh, well, let me just say too, like my life has completely changed because of YouTube. I was going to the Las Vegas Strip and I was folding, Las Vegas themed keychains and t-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that.
At 3 a.m.
At 3
What was that like?
It was horrible. But I could have headphones in and listen to audiobooks, and so I was constantly learning, you know. And I was even doing like handyman stuff, like installing dog doors in people's walls of their homes, like cutting holes in people's houses. Anyways, but yeah, I was doing that and working 4 a.m. to 12, 1, 2. And now I work from home because of YouTube, and I have a home now. I rent out pretty much the whole top floor of this house is YouTube. Like it's just all the studio in the loft.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just my life has changed from it.
Add it all together, you got 6-figure income.
Yeah.
And there's also a grind to it because of course expectations are high.
Oh my gosh, I grinded my face off with Omar too. Me and Omar were, I was full-time editor. And so we would shoot YouTube videos here in my house. Before I had the studio together, we were at his house or at Sean's house in his loft. And we're just filming, we're coming up with ideas. I'm there sitting behind the camera, helping him come up with different ideas. He's done a bunch of videos in this room. Some of you might know of just like the different things we've done in the studio, camera setups, little desk setups. And so, yeah, I was grinding like crazy. Like I've edited a ton of videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a tension here because one of the things that we have at Think Media is our entire team actually gets 6 weeks of paid time off a year. Everyone should get 2 weeks at a proper job. We do a whole Sabbath week paid, and then we do a lot of 3-day weekends, 4-day weekends. So there's a level of trying to create a really cool culture, but then also no doubt about it. There's also perks where there's certain seasons where you're like, if I got to do something, I'm flexible. You do get to work from home, no commute. But then there's other times when it's like longer days. And I think that's the production vibe. Anybody who's on production knows what it is to work a 10, 12-hour day. If we do events are what, 14 to 6, they're just all day. Like you get up.
I mean, this week for me is a lot. Like there's team flying in, everybody's at my house. I got to make sure the cameras, everything's ready to go. The space is clean. I have the equipment. Like we just had a pivot, went from a 2-person podcast to a 3, you know, that's a lot different than a 2-person podcast.
And one of the interesting things about YouTube that I found is like, you're kind of creating little like clone armies of yourself. And so our videos are working for us when we're not working. So that kind of creates this pattern of you sort of having to be on in a sense and just monitoring what's going on in the social sphere and on YouTube because people are interacting with your content all the time. So it's just a little bit different than just flipping an on and off switch for your business. It's always working behind the scenes.
Yeah, like a clone army of ranked videos.
Exactly.
And those videos are getting comments. And so, yeah, there's so many different perks than a traditional 9 to 5 or a 3 a.m. to whatever. But there's also kind of an always on, and we're trying to also figure it out at Think Media, right? We're trying to figure out, we try to protect nights and weekends, and there's seasons where that's very true, and there's seasons when it's, you know, it's go time, challenges and stuff like that. Well, okay, so pros of a team, scalability as well. I think that's also like who you hitch your wagon to. There's a level of risk to this.
Well, I think you can specialize too. We have a graphic designer, Talk. He just does thumbnails for us.
Yeah.
And he's focused and dialed in on that. And he's not necessarily making a video or having the right copy. He's focused. And even like Craig, where he's editing and filming, but hopefully he can just be filming and coming up with ideas.
Yeah. And when I think about scalability, I think about like, you really work well at Think if you're an intrapreneur. Like you think entrepreneurial inside of the company.
Yes.
One of the quotes I love is, if you work yourself out of the job, I'll always give you another one. Some people at Think Media wonder, what is my trajectory for career advancement? And part of me is like, on the one hand, I maybe don't have a good answer. On the other hand, I hope my vision's big enough that your vision can live inside of it. And talk to somebody else that's been on the team for a while. You know, Kyle was answering emails and now he's leading a team of 10 and we're doing things we never knew we would be doing. In 2025, the creator economy is such a crazy space. What different companies are doing, what in proper businesses. A lot of real estate agents want to start a media company, real estate teams, a lot of different maybe entertainment type channels, churches and schools and different things are launching podcasts. It's just wide open with how creative you could be. So if you're intrapreneurial, I think there's something about, if you're in a place that allows growth and's got a big vision and, has something, there's something there. Another pro is, again, the right team, because we said a pro of being solo is you could build your personal brand, but I believe you can still build your personal brand on a team. You're doing that, you're here, and you also are a similar like Dave Ramsey fan to me. Speak to that side of things, because all the way back to you saw these different paths, you thought about your family, but you also are building your personal brand. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, the very first thing working for Think Media has done is just give me way more eyeballs. And I mean, if I believe that I have stuff to share that's valuable, that can change people's lives, it very quickly went from an influence of, like 30,000 people on Instagram, 18K on YouTube, to potentially millions of people being able to access the information that I want to share. So if our goal is to change lives, I think Media is a great place for me to grow not only my thoughts and my personal brand, but also the company's vision for what it looks like to succeed in the online environment. So I've definitely felt that. And I mean, you mentioned the Ramsey team. I see that as well with a lot of their sort of personality model. I love George Camel, but George has built up his personal channel under the Ramsey umbrella, and people know George, but it all kind of funnels back into the Ramsey solution system, which I think is an interesting model that other companies could definitely explore, and something we could even explore in the future too.
Yeah, and I've got some tips at the end, because I think there's some key questions if you're listening to this to think about maybe what are your next steps for your personal journey. But so you can still build a personal brand. You can still have a level of flexibility depending on the culture, the team you're on. What do you like best? Like all of our team gets to work from home.
Right.
All of our team, many are married with kids, and, juggling that kind of a thing and figuring it out. It's part of our core values. And then, of course, those stability, because like you said, 1,500 to 2,000 you're making in your ad revenue, affiliates, and brand deals. But also seeing the gap between how far is the gap between here and there, and what do I want for my family and my kids. But by connecting to a bigger organization, whether that's pay, whether that's sustainability, and even if you get to the financial numbers, it's like, man, if you get to 5K a month as a solo creator, 1099 essentially, and how you'd be taxed, because people sometimes say, doesn't YouTube take out taxes? They do not. So like every dollar that comes in from a brand or affiliates or YouTube's going to be taxed. And then you're responsible for just everything, stuff that breaks, cameras, gear, and even understanding taxes and all of that other stuff. So it could be a lot. They oftentimes say the solo route is I traded my 9 to 5 for a 5 to 9. Like it's a 12, 13, 14-hour day forever.
I saw that for sure.
And forever.
And my wife saw that for sure.
And I think it's a self-awareness. Do you want that? And even there's always gonna be another thing to do. Even when you're done with the core work of YouTube, are your taxes right? Is your structure right? Is your org chart right? Your corporation, all that different stuff. And then I think also a pro of being with the right team is just leveling up from the team you're with. You've touched on this a little, but I'm curious each of your takes. At one point, it's kind of like, do you value working with the team or not? And I think even my vision for the company, I love people. I love working with people. I love leadership. I love team development. I love seeing teams flourish. I think it's a lot more fun to like do something meaningful with people you love and to have a good time doing it. And so the solo creator path, I guess, could be lonely, but also it's just like, it's like turn up, man. We got, when we have all team retreats and stuff, it's just even a virtual culture, which is what we have mostly, just a whole vibe, which is like, what do you want? You might, do you want to be a part of that? So I'm curious, let's hit Craig and then Kyle, like what do you think about just team versus solo and the benefits of team relationships and even rubbing shoulders, iron sharpens iron?
Yeah. Historically, all of my work for organizations have been with solid team environments. So working for church organizations or universities or other, video production companies, I love the team environment. So it is kind of interesting working for a team where all of us are remote. And we try to do things to get together in person when we can, like this exact situation. But I'm a big fan of community. I think we are people who are designed to live in community. Even if you're a solo creator, your goal is to probably create a community of people who think like you, who are interested in the kinds of things you're doing. So even if you're a solo, you're probably still trying to build that community, I would say. Yeah. What do you think, Kyle?
I personally love working with a team. Before this, I was a worship director, and it was a worship band, a worship team. And building that was some of the funnest times of my life, coming with different ideas, bouncing that off of each other. Somebody comes up with some sort of cool line for a song, like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Same thing within making a YouTube video. When I was working with Omar, we're just he's filming a video. Dude, what if you did this? Oh, it's sick. Or what if you did this hook? And then we're kind of like working together making this video, even though maybe he's the talent. There's a lot of times where we're just very interactive. We were to come up with a lot of creative solutions, ideas, and things that would help people. And so I personally love working with the team. I wish we weren't remote because I love like when we're all together like this. Oh my gosh, we can conquer so much and do. We've already shot like, I don't know, this is the 8th video maybe in just a couple of days. And so the team environment.
Introducing 2 new Baja Chipotle subs featuring our world-famous Baja Chipotle sauce. Listen, that's the Baja Chipotle talking. Well, it's actually me talking, but you know what I mean. Find your fresh with the new Baja Chipotle collection at Subway.
Here's Amy with the Flow forecast. Like the weather, your flow changes daily, and so should your Tampax size. Heavy downpours coming in, size up. But if it hurts to remove, size down.
And only Tampax has 5 sizes for your changing flow.
Pack your Tampax combo.
It's so much more fun.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, because part of at one point we thought we might all rally here in Vegas. For me, prioritizing family and kids and where our kids' grandparents are, that's what led us kind of back to Seattle, which is not in a way the best business move. But to that point, even for you, I don't think you want to come to Vegas. We talked a lot about it.
Yeah.
You are even moving closer to family and different team members. And so who knows what the future looks like. But if you were trying to choose a team to be a part of, in some cases,
I would even say you're able to do that because you have a team too.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you can move closer to family. It might not be the best business choice, but we have a team to help support and then pick up the pieces and the gaps or things like that.
Yeah, and it speaks to creator economy with the fact that also the ability to fly here, do something like this, use virtual recording to get podcasts going. Our creators are independent. They're able to be, meaning they were already being able to shoot like you were used to being solo and able to like film, maybe Dropbox footage, maybe edit yourself. So in that sense, we have multiple studios. Because everybody's independent studio.
Right.
There's just so many different ways you could do it, which again speaks to lifestyle. Because I know for some people, they may not want to move for a job. You might not have to. They might not want to move to be a part of a media company or a media team. You might not have to. Some of these things you could think about. Okay, so 3 tips that I think for listeners, and add anything you want to this. The 3 tips are self-awareness, seasons, and you can always switch it up. So number 1 is self-awareness. So I think, and Craig, you're probably best to speak about this. Like, at the end of the day, there's nothing that's really right or wrong here. It's about self-awareness. It's about what season are you in. And so self-awareness would be like, what's your vision?
Yeah.
Like, what is your personal vision? What is even some of the way you're wired? Are you a very high anxiety, low risk tolerance person? Well, then probably solo is not the rate for you.
Yeah.
Or is your self-awareness that like even strengths and weaknesses? You could do a SWOT analysis on this. What are my personal strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? Like I lack self-discipline. I'm so creative. I've heard a couple of people we've talked to, and if anybody is loves Think Media and has it on your heart, hit us up because we want to build slow, but we're looking to how far can we go? What can we do with people? But I've talked to a couple creatives where they're like, I just am too creative to go solo. I need structure.
Yeah.
I actually self-aware realize my weakness and a threat to me is I lack that structure. I don't even have necessarily that operator side of things, so I need to link up with an operator. Are you a business owner or serious content creator that is struggling to crack the YouTube code? Are you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or just plain frustrated with slow growth? If so, then our new one-on-one coaching program at viralvideocoach.com is your premier ticket to YouTube success. Becoming the authority in your niche, attracting engaged leads and loyal customers. We offer one-to-one coaching with our YouTube experts that'll help you get results fast and a supportive community that's cheering you on. So if you're ready to stop wasting time with trial and error and to stop leaving money on the table, then head to viralvideocoach.com to apply to see if you qualify for our coaching program. But heads up, this offer is not for everybody. It's only for serious content creators and entrepreneurs that are ready to take action. So if that's you, head to viralvideocoach.com to apply or click the link in the show notes. All right, let's jump back into the episode. these are all self-awareness questions. What's your vision? What's your strengths and weaknesses? SWOT analysis. What are the opportunities for you right now? Man, if I go solo, I could go really fast and seize this market space. Or the threats. Man, competition feels fierce. So if I link up with somebody else, if George Camel links up and builds up at Ramsey, it's kind of, if he does well and everything goes well, it's sort of like a no-lose path. Might be slower. Want to go fast? Go alone. Want to go fast? Want to go far? Go together. It's like a guaranteed clip. It just might go slower than you think. But what are your thoughts about self-awareness? If you were coaching somebody that's like, man, I'm trying to figure out, Craig, because you went and joined Think Media. Do I want to do that? I already have, you're almost at 20,000 subs.
Yeah.
Big Instagram. I mean, 30,000 followers, right?
Yeah.
So, you had that path, but also then season of life. What would be some questions that you might?
Yeah, I mean, I think inviting others in your life to speak into where you're at, who know you the best, is really important. I would invite my parents, pastors, my wife, my spouse to speak into it. So for me, it was really a combination of factors, discerning where am I at, what do I want my long-term future to look like, as well as the short term, 1 year, 2 years, but also 10 years down the road, and try to think through what's not the easiest path, but what's a path that's going to set my family up for success and myself. And it seemed like when this opportunity was presented to join a team, to be a part of an established brand, it just felt to me like a no-brainer. And everybody's path is different, so I could see a case where somebody, maybe it wasn't the right decision for them, but for me, I think it really was the best move to join up with the team, for sure.
I want to hit seasons here, but I also want to invite listeners, if you're on YouTube, if you have a follow-up question for us, drop it in the comments. And because you might also have like a million next questions about media companies joining a team, solo creators, pros and cons, we could always do a follow-up episode. And if you listen on audio and haven't visited the YouTube video podcast very often, would love just your, ask us anything. We're open books and we'd love to help and assist. Okay, you kind of touched on this, but I think, so self-awareness, your own strengths and weaknesses, seasons of life. I think this is a big tip. What season of life are you in? What's the season of the career you're in? And what is also the season of your skills? Personal opinion, it is jet fuel to go link up with a team because it'll rocket your skill development, your learning. Iron sharpens iron, what you get inside. Like when we're, kind of as essentially masterminding the Think Media team, we have oftentimes on Zoom, 5, 6, 7, 8 minds, workshopping on titles, debating on thumbnails, debating on hooks and scripts. Iron sharpens iron, adding, like you mentioned, you might have a video idea, other people are enhancing it, the other things that are happening, and then perhaps even the benefits. I mean, you guys just both went to the vault and, all expense paid trip. Look, Mom.
To Miami.
To all expense paid trip to Miami, tickets, hotels, meals. I mean, again, that kind of stuff is cool. And a tax write-off for the solo creator. But of course, that's coming out of your pocket. We're sending some of the other team, Nate, Mark to Vid Summit, whatever. And so trying to find those perks. But what's the point? What season of your skills are you in? And if you might say, because also we've talked, and Craig, we are talking about in the coming years, you see launching out.
60% of women experience leaks with bladder protection pads. Try Always Discreet. It locks leaks in seconds to keep you drier and bunches 25% less often than Poise. Try Always Discreet. It's designed to protect.
Why is Rich so good?
Buttery, salty.
Don't tell anyone I like it.
Like you want, your own channel. We'll see what happens, meaning all in and maybe not being a part of Think Media forever, but who knows? And so the season of being linked up, I see it kind of as a no lose, like adding to your skills, learning, but also season of life. If you're like, I'm married, I got 4 kids, but I really want this YouTube thing to work. I'm making $500 a month. It's like, bro, you might want to stay at your day job, just for your family's sake. Like, be smart, just because this could be uncertain. So if you have no dependents, it's a different situation. And you've touched on a lot by getting counsel from like wise people in your life. But what are your thoughts about just self-awareness of seasons?
Man, I feel like you just summarized everything that my life encompasses.
I'm just trying to, if somebody's still watching this right now, that means they love YouTube. They're maybe not full time yet, or just curious about the team dynamics. But you're either not full time on YouTube yet because you haven't posted any videos yet, or you just don't know where to start, or you just don't feel confident in it. I think I knew I wasn't the person that I didn't want to be in front of the camera right away. I don't like having all the attention on me, but I love YouTube. I love tech. I love learning. And if you love that kind of stuff, get connected with a local entrepreneur. Get connected with a church and learn.
Yeah.
And learn the skills and get better. You're not going to start. My first video got over 100,000. It has maybe 400,000 views on it.
Yeah, and the content marathon's close to 1 million.
Right. Because I was in a team and I was watching, I was learning, I was editing YouTube videos, I was putting in the work behind the scenes, and then that made me an instant success on my first video because I knew it was working. I knew how to make something sound good. I knew how to make something look good. I knew how to have the camera shots. I knew what people were what I was interested in, and I knew how to reverse engineer. Okay, other people are going to be interested in this because I was in YouTube working on a team.
Yeah.
It is a shortcut
to
getting good. It is you learn from other people, And I was with Sean. I was hearing Sean come up with video ideas. I was hearing Sean pointing at some mistakes that we did. Hey, don't do that. I was learning, and so of course. I wasn't necessarily surprised. I was a little surprised at how successful all my videos have done. I haven't posted very many, like 3 or 4.
I want you to post 20,
right.
But you got a lot to do.
I should probably do a whole setup tour of this podcast. So let me know if I should in the comments. But yeah, be a part of a team and learn. And especially a local business owner who needs content filmed. If you can do that, do it, and then learn from the mistakes and successes on that journey. I think it's no brainer. Especially if you maybe want to go out on your own, you're going to learn all these skills to make you successful, or learn the self-awareness of actually, I love being on a team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's funny as you're also talking about just absorbing, learning. Different people, of course, have different roles, and not everybody has traveled with me. But Omar and I have gone on a lot of trips. You and I have gone on a lot of trips, and so different things where you're just in proximity to stuff. That's what I think. You're at events. You're on shoots.
Yeah.
You're just getting into stuff.
Well, I was there. We were talking about this the other day. I was there on Omar's first video that he filmed with you, side by side, Sony 6400.
A6400 versus Canon M50. I think that's 1 million
That
views.
was my first time filming, by myself behind the camera too. We didn't really know much. And then Omar is doing amazing things right now. And then just even my own personal growth. It's I have a production studio in my house. I didn't even know what the heck I was doing.
Yeah.
It
gets crispier every time I come here.
It's from right. That's from proximity. That's from constantly doing the same thing every day.
Repetition.
Yeah. Me and Omar, we had to come up with 2 YouTube videos every week.
Yeah. That was a run.
I was editing, shooting, and then helping wherever I needed, right? As well as podcast edits and repurpose.
Yeah, so many insights. Okay, one other tip. You can always switch it up. So self-awareness seasons and switch it up. So I think also we might overthink this. And so someone's maybe listening to this, I also think you could go, tip number 4, I think going slow if you're going to link up with a media company. One of the things we've learned is both Kyle, Craig, and I, we met multiple times. What's it look like? What are we talking about? Let's get it planned on paper. If it's not written, it's not real. Having good contracts, so just everything's written down for everybody's clarity of where's this going, what's happening next, and probably going slower than you think. So I'm not saying just flip flop, snip snap all the time, but you can switch.
What does that mean?
But you can switch it up, meaning. You might be a super established creator and maybe you just have hit a really slow season or you're burnt out. You need to recover for a while.
Right. Well, I think what you're getting at is you want to be very transparent about where you're at with, if you're going to work with a team. We had a lot of conversations with Craig. What does the future look like for you? Do you ever want to go full time on your own? Or can you lock in 5 years with us? We need somebody to build something with, and being transparent. And if you want to work for somebody, but eventually you want to go out on your own, let them know that, hey, I would love to dedicate this amount of time to you, but eventually, just so you know, I would love to do my own thing, but I will add as much value to you as possible. I'll be there, but give me expectations right up front.
Yeah, absolutely. And
When you want bedtime to be a good time,
Good night, sweetheart.
it matters where you stay. Conrad Hotels and Resorts. Hilton for the stay.
Swiffer Duster traps 4 times more dust. For clean, even mom approves of.
That reach.
Making hard to reach.
So easy.
Swiffer. Wow. The mother of all cleans. Love it or your money back.
absolutely. And also just knowing that you have the freedom to reevaluate things and recommunicate. And yeah, I mean, that's why, most businesses do yearly reviews. How are things going? What do you want to switch up? Or even quarterly reviews, or even better, monthly reviews. How are things going? What can we shift? How are you feeling? So I think that's really important and something that I've already felt here in my short time. But I know that that's a value of us, is to just always be discerning. What's this next season? What's this next phase look like for an individual creator or individual employee, for sure?
Yeah, we're always learning. And so I would encourage listeners, you might be established and kind of burnt out. And so you may go say, I got a vision to go work a couple years, link up, and then go back, or vice versa. To maybe you're listening to this right now, and this just is completely expanded your mindset. And you're like, man, that actually might be the next phase. I thought I was going to try to have a straight trajectory line towards being a solo personal brand, but there's a lot of benefits and pros and cons. And because I think that maybe because I've been in the past in organizations that felt controlling or manipulative, and I would say under different levels of the quality of leadership, I think that we highly value clarity, but we don't want to create an environment of control. So we set a vision of hey, let's really get as clear as possible on what the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years could look like. But man, if anything ever changes, let's just always talk and be transparent. And back to that idea that things can pivot. And so I think if we are landing the plane and thinking about the future of YouTube and creator teams versus solo, you're listening to this, your career, maybe it looks like being at one place for a couple years, being somewhere else with a couple years, having a side hustle, putting your side hustle on pause, going all in right now. And even if it doesn't work, I know some people recognize, they're like, man, this happened to a lot of influencers. They became full-time YouTubers, and then they start hitting really tough financial troubles. They're like, it was this, but now it's shoot, it's not that anymore. I couldn't reinvent myself. I couldn't sustain the pace. I'm feeling burnt out. The algorithms changed a little bit, and that's okay. You can always switch it up. It might feel like the Wild West, and it is, but the creator economy is very exciting, and there's a lot of different paths that you can take.
In terms of content stuff, we do these product videos. It doesn't do anything for our channel, and somehow we keep doing it, which I think is stupid. I don't even think our customers really like watching them, but we're putting out, Mitchell's been doing this content where today he interviewed Marshall Haas, who sold somewhere.com. And these videos, it's they're going to do 10 to 100,000 view videos. And so he found the thing. I think what most people don't do is they don't take enough time to find the thing. And then when they find the thing, now look at Mitchell. Now, in terms of these other companies, media companies, I think the ones I'm interested in, there's a guy in LA who's been buying random newspapers and magazine companies. You know this guy?
No, it sounds cool.
He's buying all these ones that people think are dead.
Variety, Hollywood Porter, Rolling Stone, Jay Penske.
Jay Penske. So he's a younger guy. I think he's in his 40s, and he bought all these random newspaper magazine sites that were kind of older or decaying, and has kind of put them all together into a media company that's doing really well. He's not very public. I've kind of stumbled across him, I think, in a Wall Street Journal magazine or article. And I read dirt.com every Saturday. It's my treat to read real estate news. I love seeing houses with bowling alleys and stupid shit in it. I find it inspiring. And so he owns dirt.com and Rob Report. Now, from the perspective of a media company, I think what it comes back to is, can you do something unique that you can either have a monopoly in or have an advantage in? does seem like he's kind of angled around like older magazine websites that people seem to have forgotten, and it seems like he's done a pretty good job doing this. I think that's kind of how it goes for all of content. Like, what's your angle? And then find some lane that people seem to respond to and you make money in, and go as hard as you can on that. I think people go way too soft. Most people are probably too weak, or not serious enough about it. Like, I think part of our success at AppSim was we found the software deal thing works. In 15 years, we're still doing software deals, and I think we've gone pretty damn hard on it. Same with this YouTube stuff with Mitchell and with me. With Mitchell, he found these videos are working, and so it's all right. We know that videos interviewing these people work. Like, how do we 10x the amount of content we're making there? And I think most people kind of either do other things, or they get bored, or they don't really double down on it.
You've shared a lot of incredible advice today and been very generous with your time. I do want to hear a little bit about the book. I do want to know the other 2 to 3 books that have fundamentally changed how you think about business as we land the plane in just a second. But I do want you to give some shout outs. And I have one Easter egg question. Unless I got somehow warped out of what time I'm in, I think it's 2025 at the time we're recording this, but on your website, I just love the fact that your copyright was 2028. And
yeah, I try to be ahead of the time.
I have no idea what that means. I don't know if it's made funny or if there's like a powerful principle behind visionarying the future or something.
Nah, I was just fucking around. I mean, I think in business it should be fun, man. Like, otherwise, go get a day job with someone you hate. I always felt like it was more risky to have a job doing what I didn't want to do with someone I didn't like than actually starting your own business, which...
iPhone 16e has the best battery life for an iPhone this size, so nothing's stopping you from getting the high score, except the stairs, benches, and rails. iPhone 16e, the latest iPhone, greatest price.
Teeth sensitivity is so common. It immediately feels like, somebody's poking directly on their nerve. I recommend Sensodyne. Sensodyne toothpaste goes inside the tooth and calms the nerve down. And my patients say, doc, it really works.
Nothing these days, which is amazing. And you can really, live in however you'd like to live. So yeah, with NoahKagan.com, there's a few other Easter eggs. Like a hot sauce thing, if you could find it. But yeah, just kind of having fun with these different things.
It made me think too. Sometimes I forget to update copyrights. I'll see people's website 1 or 2 years old or something, because you just got to update at the bottom of the website. So I was like, maybe he's just getting ahead. Like, you know.
No, you know what it is? When I worked with Zuckerberg, he had really good attention to detail, and I think that's why I checked copyright dates. I check how's the grammar on websites, or people slipping on it. I like the attention to detail. I think he really inspired me around that. Now, in terms of books, I basically bought all of my favorite business books. So I'm happy to share a few of the ones that I think everyone needs to buy. I do think $1 Million Weekend, if you're getting started or you want some inspiration, I'm very proud of the work. I think it's an amazing story and a good read. I hired Tal Roz, who's one of the best business writers, to help me put it together. The Ultimate Sales Machine is a banger. Donald Miller's Million Miles in 1,000 Years is a banger. This one is, if you have a business, if you're making like $1 million or more, I think Reed Hastings' No Rules Rules by Reed Hastings is a fucking mega banger. Other mega bangers is Amp It Up by Frank Slootman. That's a mega banger. Maverick by Ricardo Semler. I'm just looking at the ones I have down here. So I try to find I think to get advantages, I guess my philosophy is like, if you're reading what others are reading, you're not going to get ahead because everyone else is reading it. So I'm trying to find some of the people that are not talked about as much.
That's a good word. 1,000,000 Miles in 1,000 Years, Donald Miller. $1 Million Weekend, Noah Kagan. Ultimate Sales Machine, No Rules Rules, Amp It Up, Maverick. There's 6 books to read in the next 6 weeks.
Just do one every other month. You're good for the year. I think that the thing I've thought with books is that we brag about how many we've read or that we've read them, but no one's bragging about that they've done implementation from it.
Yeah, how many they've applied.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I read 1 book this year and my business doubled. It's like, stop reading. just go watch Netflix at night. You know, I think we overemphasize the number of the books, not the impact of the books.
Instead of reading 52 books or even 12, read one, master it, apply it, and actually create your $1 million weekend and then build that 7-figure business.
This one's a banger. It's got a lot, like Ultimate Sales Machine is similar to this guy, Keith Cunningham. Road Less Stupid. It's basically one of these, like, there's like so much stuff in it. You're gonna get these are more if you already have a business. You're gonna get at least one thing. Yeah, Road Less Stupid. That's a really good one.
Yeah, I'm in that one as well. All kinds of good questions to help you think. Broke my whole brain about, like, you're not even actually solving problems. You're just like solving the fruit, not the root, and you're not even actually getting to the heart of issues. This would actually be the real problem you have, like the real constraint. That's good stuff. Well, I mean, 7 books. We'll make sure they're all linked up in the show notes, but then ultimately, awesome. You heard it here from Noah Kagan. The quote was actually, stop reading, watch Netflix instead. So, I mean, that's kind of a cool thing. Cool.
I mean, I truly think that if you can suffer long enough, you're going to get success.
Yeah.
And if you don't, and you either just be happy with where you're at, and that's okay too. But I do find that I really wanted a certain lifestyle. I wanted a certain type of job, and I was willing to suffer in my own way for a long time to be able to get that.
Noah Kagan, I'm really grateful for you. Glad we finally got to connect like this. And I do want you to shout it out. People want to follow you, like anything else, so they can check you out.
Weirdly, I'm actually trying to get less known. I don't know why I agreed to do it. I think we talked about doing this a long time ago. So try to get less known. Don't look for me. Look for yourself. It's for real, because it's like, I realize, like, if I get more attention, it's kind of a negative lately. Okay, I think it's a little bit more, it's been a little more problematic where, like, it puts my family at risk for what reward. So don't look for me. Look for Sean. Look for yourself. Send me your stuff.
Yeah, subscribe to the Think Media podcast.
Yes.
Go buy Noah's book, but do not follow him, and then don't read it. Watch Netflix instead.
Put the book in ChatGPT, find the big 3 things, and then just go, or Google Notebook LLM, and then do those from the book. But I think more people find themselves, man. That's how we're doing on this planet. Just find the thing you want to do.
That's a good word. Find yourself. Hey, Noah, appreciate you. Think Media Podcast, like, rate, subscribe, share, review, wherever you watch or listen. And my name is Sean Cannell, your guide to building a profitable YouTube channel. Check you in the next one.
Tell you the tale of the Maverick Queen, most dangerous woman the West's ever seen. There was something about her since she was 16 that attracted the men to the Maverick Queen. The Maverick Queen, the Maverick Queen. She could steal your heart away. There was something about her since she was 16 that attracted the men to the Maverick Queen.
The little town of Stillwater toward the end of the last century. At that time, it was thought that the outlaw flame which had seared the middle border since the end of the Civil War was almost extinguished. However, there were some who knew that the fire was not yet out.
Well, glad to see you, Leo. How are you?
Good. What you doing?
Relaxing after getting the weekly edition off the press.
I see you're relaxing too, Jack.
Howdy, Mr. Miller.
Here's a copy of the writing. Well, it's time room for a snort.
Yeah, don't mind if I do. Came in to see you about a story for your next edition.
Good enough. Any news from your office always makes good reading.
You know the youngest, of course.
Yeah, sure. Cole and Jim, they're cousins of the Daltons. And their nephew, Jeff.
Yeah, the same. It's Jeff I'm talking about. He's out of Stillwater today. His uncle's got 25 years. He's out in 3.
And what'll he be doing now?
No, heading west, no doubt. There's no place else for the likes of him.
Without the ones like you working tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. No matter your industry, Grainger's here for you with professional-grade supplies. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
California?
Too tame, I'm thinking. He's a wild one. Maybe to Wyoming.
Oh, to join the Wild Bunch?
Wouldn't you if you had his blood running in your veins?
Oh, maybe I would. You know, there's always something missing in fellas like that.
Yeah, missing all that's good. You know, the Wild Bunch is run by a big Irishman named Butch Cassidy. They have a string of outlaw ranches that stretch from Canada down to the Mexican border.
The Irish, they're a wild lot.
They're only the black Irish people. It's the Spanish blood in them that does it.
Yeah, the Spanish blood, no doubt. Some sleep, Miss Lucy. We'll be in Rock Springs by tomorrow night. Nothing's gonna happen this close to town.
I can't sleep. I suppose I shouldn't worry, but if we lose this herd,
Don't worry. You'll sell them in Rock Springs, pay your debts, and you'll have money to spare.
I guess I better get some sleep. Keep the fire going and see if the Nighthawk stays awake.
Nothing's going to happen.
Who are you? What do you want?
I'm sorry to start you. I saw your fire, looking for a place to live.
We don't like strangers here. This is lawless country. What's your name?
Jeff Young. I'm no rustler, unless it's for food. Been a long day in the saddle. Sure appreciate a handout. Hold my gun if you want to.
All right, you can stay. I'm Lucy Lee. This is Jamie. He's our cook.
Happy to know you.
There's stew on the pot. Put your horse with the other horses. There's water there. Help yourself to the grain.
Much obliged.
I didn't want to be inhospitable, but you have to be awfully careful around here. The Wild Bunch has made hash of this country.
That's all right. I've heard about the Wild Bunch. Headquarters around here, eh? Hole in the wall. In the Powder River country. Nobody knows rightly where it is. Cattle rustlers?
And bank robbers, train stick-ups, ranchers, stagecoaches, nothing safe. Better sleep fast. We move at dawn.
Thanks, I'll be ready. Right.
Munchie, see who's in those 2 wagons.
Well, the Wild Bunch. What do you want?
Lady, we're in the same business you are. Selling cattle. You're cattle.
You must be Butch Cassidy.
Oh, no. Sort of his right-hand man, you might say. Call me Sundance.
Sundance. How colorful.
When you'd rather enjoy the pool than clean someone else's.
Sweetie, get out of the pool.
It matters where you stay. Conrad Hotels and Resorts. Hilton for the stay.
The North Face mount jacket's like a timeless piece that feels like an extension of what you would normally wear.
If you're going snowboarding or if you're going to get coffee, like it does both, you know.
I wear the mountain jacket all the time because it's tough. You're not worried about ripping it. It feels casual and style-wise, it's like perfect.
It looks iconic, but then it also performs when you need it.
It's good labor.
You know, you're kind of colorful yourself. Come here. All of you, reach! Keep your hands clear. Grab your guns. Pick them up. Put them in the wagon. All right, now ride. You remember this outfit? I said ride.
Saddle up. Dawn will be breaking in half an hour.
No need to rush, Miss Lucy. That gang can't get no more guns short of the hole.
Or Rock Springs, maybe, and have them meet us again tomorrow night. Well, come on, move.
Well, the outfit was to be a cinch, huh? Nobody but plain cowhands. How did I know she was smart enough to hire us up a professional gun shop? Well, you should have. It was like she was waiting for us. Shut up. We'll meet again. Where are we heading? Rock Springs. I want to talk to Kip.
I guess I don't have to tell you how grateful I am.
I was glad I could come to your party. Kind of young to be running an outfit this big, Miss Lee.
I was raised on cattle ranch. I understand cattle as well as any man.
Cattle, but not cattle rustlers, eh?
Perhaps not. But you seem to, Mr. Young. After all you've done for me, would it be rude if I asked you what business you're in? I wouldn't take you for an ordinary cowhand.
Yeah, right now it's looking after a pretty young cattlewoman.
Said I was grateful. 2 guns and the way you handled them. Different from just a cowhand. Are you a professional gunman?
Maybe I could qualify, maybe not.
Why did you wear a mask?
Sundance is a killer. Knows that's giving him an edge, letting him recognize me if we should meet again.
Then you are a gunman.
Let's just say I'm a traveling man.
Would you ride with us to Rock Springs?
Traveling man has to travel. Why not with pleasant company?
Thank you, Mr. Young.
What's your pleasure? 2 bottles of your best.
What happened to your guns? Well, what happened?
You
If you want Lucy Lee's cattle, you're gonna have to buy them.
Shut up. Talk to me upstairs.
Maybe I'd better.
Buy the boys another drink, Jake. Looks like they could use it.
Town's pretty busy. Little outfits bringing in their cattle for 100 miles around. Shipping them on, as many as 3 trainloads a day going out.
Oh, for heaven's sake, take a bath first. You smell like a combination brewery and horse stable.
You need a half a dozen 6-guns. Know where we can get them?
Yes, you can buy them at my general store if you have the cash. Who got yours? Oh, looks like somebody's bullet beat yours. Never thought I'd see that happen to the great Sundance. Don't tell me Lucy Lee's Wranglers were faster than you.
We had them cold. All of a sudden, this strange gun ranny shows up.
And where were your eyes? Were you blind? Or maybe you were paying too much attention to Lucy Lee. Don Juan himself. Never could keep your hands off the ladies, could you, Sundance?
There's only one woman I want my hands on. Kid Banyan.
Oh, come now.
You know what I mean, kid. I'm crazy about you. You're the only woman I ever met that I couldn't do without. Well, you think it's so funny, huh? Just because you own most of this town, you think you know everything. Then tell me this. How'd that Lee girl happen to have a gunslinger with her outfit? Yeah, you tipped us to her drive. But now I'm thinking maybe you tipped her we were going to raid her outfit.
You saddle drunk or something. I stood to make as much out of those cattle when they were delivered to me as you and your boss Butch Cassidy. So why should I want her?
Thinking maybe to get me killed. Yes, maybe you're getting your tips from some new boy you got your eye on, like that gunslinger.
Oh, you and your stupid jealousy. I'm sick of it. Who is this gun ranny you're talking about? You know most of them. What does he look like?
He was masked. It was dark. He was tall, big fella. That's all I could see.
Well, don't blame me if he made a monkey out of you.
Well, they had to know from someplace we were coming because he was waiting for us. You had a good thing with the Wild Bunch, kid. You know, I'm telling you, watch your step.
You're telling me? When it deals with business, I take orders from one man, Butch Cassidy, and none at all from anybody when it comes to my private life. Neither you nor Butcher nor any of the bunch would dare show themselves in the streets if I weren't what I am in Rock Springs.
Yeah, and I know what you are. And I know how you've got the Maverick Queen and the cattle company and all the little business that you finagle people out of in this town by taking up with every cowboy with a stray you could slap your brand.
Shut up!
You've got the money and the power now, kid. But you'll never enjoy it if you take up with anybody besides me.
You don't have to tell me what I've done. I did what I had to do to get where I am. And when I get to the top, I'll leave you and your breed far behind. A few of the things I liked about you, Sundance. Very few. You were the best I had a chance to meet in this territory. But somewhere along the way, sometime,
I'll meet a better man, like the kind of man I used to know. And when I do, I'll drop you like a poisonous snake. You do that, Kit Banyan, and I promise you, I'll kill you. I don't think you will, Sundance. I said he'd be a better man.
Half block up and across the street, Levi's. Next door, Pennypacker's Barbershop.
Thanks.
Good.
I think I'll talk to this gentleman first. Thank you. Don't bother to get up. I wonder if I could talk to you for a minute, if you don't mind.
Certainly, sit down. Would you care to order, miss?
No, not now, thank you. I'm having supper with Sheriff Wilson. He's an old friend of my dad's. I want to tell him what happened. You look different. Do you think you might run into Sundance around here in town?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Are you planning on settling here?
It depends on the opportunities.
Maybe I can make you an offer.
Punching cows?
No, that isn't the idea I had in mind.
Well, I think for sure you'd be the prettiest boss I ever worked for.
2 years ago, my dad ran the biggest spread in this part of the territory. The Wild Bunch started rustling, and they got a lot of our stock. One night, Dad waited up for them with some of the boys.
And he was killed.
Before he died, I told him I'd keep the ranch, and someday I'd get the Wild Bunch and pay him back for what they did. Last night, I thought for sure we were finished, and we would have been if you hadn't come along. Well, that's the job I'm offering you. Help run them off.
What'll you do with the herd?
Sell them.
Plenty of buyers in town?
Only one. Kit Banyan.
Oh, yes, I've heard about her. She seems to be a big wheel in this town. That's unusual for a lady.
She's quite a businesswoman.
You don't like her? She sounds interesting.
Well, I suppose she is. But I don't want to talk about her.
Where will you put your money?
In the Railway Express office safe. Every month where they transfer the money to one of the bigger banks up in Denver.
Miss Lee, you were lucky this trip. Chances will be against you next time. My advice would be for you to get out of the cattle business until this lawlessness subsides.
Then you won't help.
I'm sorry, it doesn't fit in with my plans. Besides, I'm not about to go gunning for Butch Cassidy. Not by myself, anyway.
There's lots of men in this territory who could help. You could organize a vigilante committee. You're new to this country. You don't know what it could mean to these men.
Well, maybe you're right, but I can't promise anything right now. Hello, Lucy.
Sheriff Wilson, this is Jeff Young.
Yeah? Well, I've got to be going. You'll be in town for a few days, Miss Lee?
Yes.
Nice to know you, Sheriff.
Well, I'll just call that, mister. I'll raise you the sand. Well, it seems to me that ace came off the bottom. Who cheated? This fella claimed the dealer, him, dealt himself an ace off the bottom of the deck. And he tried to shoot him in the belly underneath the table, and this fella upset the table on him.
You've been losing. Doesn't like to lose, I guess. That ace came off the top of the deck.
You're a stranger around here, aren't you, mister?
Yeah, I just rode in this evening.
Good. Well, if you know what you had, sort out the chips. All right, boys, it's all over. Drink up. You won the argument, so you must be right. It's always nice to meet the better man. All right, let's clear out. It's cooler riding at night anyway. My special bottle, Jake. Sundance isn't the kind you turn your back on. Those breeds are treacherous.
Yeah, I know the type.
Grandmother was a Sioux. Funny I haven't seen you around here before. Most everybody in the territory comes to the Maverick Queen.
Because I haven't been in the territory very long, I guess. Come from Minnesota.
Anyway, I'm glad to meet you. My name's Kit Banyan. I own this place. You don't have to tell me yours if you don't want to.
No objection. Jeff Young.
Great name to be slung around carelessly. You wouldn't by chance be related to Cole and Jim Younger?
My uncles.
They had you in the big house, didn't they, at Stillwater? Break out?
Released. Served my time, 3 years.
What are you doing out here?
The only place left that isn't crawling with civilization. Sheriffs all over the place. Man wants to live by his wits, he had to get out.
Well, you came to the right country. Oh, we have a sheriff. Wilson is his name. He's tough, but he doesn't get much help. Butch Cassidy and the Wild Bunch have things pretty easy.
They say you're one of them.
Who says so?
Cole told me before I left Stillwater.
If you're thinking about joining the Wild Bunch, you've made a bad beginning. Sundance is Butch's right-hand man.
Oh, there's no hurry. I'm just looking around.
How about a job dealing fare? One of my boys left last week.
Sounds good. When do I start?
Tomorrow.
Why, Jamie.
Hello, Miss Lindsay.
Kit Banyan, please.
Excuse me. How do you do, Miss Lee? What can I do for you?
I have some steers to sell. Brought a trail herd over late this afternoon.
Oh. How much do you want for them?
Market price.
That's pretty high. You know I'm the only buyer in Rock Springs.
Yes, I know. But the price isn't high, considering the difficulties.
Difficulties?
Yes, difficulties. Cattle rustlers, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Yes, I know what you mean. All right, I'll buy them.
I'm camped down by the creek. When will you be over?
Tomorrow morning around 8.
Thanks.
Four's a winner. All right, gentlemen, place your bets.
How do you like my new dealer, boys? He's done good all week, hasn't he?
Too good, if you ask me.
Tony, take over. I want to talk to you upstairs.
Sundance, meet Jeff Younger. You rushed off the other night before I had a chance to introduce you. You boys ought to try and get along. You're both in the same business.
Never mind the handshake and let's talk turkey. It's late.
All right, Sundance, go ahead and talk. You've always got such a lot to say.
All right. You told Kit that you're Jeff Younger, and she thinks that's important. Well, maybe you are Jeff Younger, and maybe you ain't, but I can tell you this. Nobody's important to Butch Cassidy and the Wild Bunch, so if you want to stay alive, mister, you'll clear out of this territory.
Now, wait a minute. That's not what I brought him up here to talk about. You're sore because he outgunned and outplayed you. That was twice in 2 days you lost your gun. You better carry it in the sack.
You shut your mouth. Look, you didn't ride into Rock Springs with that Lee outfit, did you?
Who's the Lee outfit?
You mean you think he stopped you both times? Oh, that's a laugh. It wasn't you, was it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, we're wasting time. Do you want in on this caper or not? All right. The railroad is expressing $50,000 in gold to Denver. The train leaves at 8 in the morning with 12 armed guards riding in the coach behind the express car. You go along as one of the passengers.
Suppose we ain't who we said
You have to take chances in this business. What difference does it make? It's his word against ours. If he doesn't work out, we lose $50,000. If we don't send him, we lose it anyway. So since none of the gang can go along, they'd be recognized right away.
But they can count me out. I'm no fool.
Well, that's a matter of opinion, Sundance, but you'll be there. You won't want to miss out on $50,000. He's sore because of what happened at the Lee Trail camp. Sundance and the boys rode in to take over the Lee Trail herd, but Lucy Lee had a professional gun hawk staked out, and Sundance almost got himself killed. He blames me for it.
I don't follow that.
Oh, he thinks I had a yen for this gunman, whoever he is, and framed the whole thing to get Sundance out of the way for good. Here's to kindness. After it was over, he came back to town and tried to get a little rough with me, but I ran him out. I'm finished with him. He's no good. He never was.
A woman like you, with your looks, what you've made of yourself. Seems somebody should have married you and carted you away a long time ago.
Marriage? No, that's not for people in our business. I'm part of a gang run by Butch Cassidy. You don't know Butch yet. The only way you leave the Wild Bunch is feet first. You better think that over.
Why did you tie in with the Wild Bunch?
To make more money, of course. Why else? You know, somehow I have pictured Jeff Younger differently. You don't look like a thief.
Neither do you. That's in our favor.
No, what I mean is, I don't see you as a cold-blooded killer. Some of the stories I've heard about the James gang aren't very pretty.
James gang learned their business during the war. War is never very pretty. War makes people forget the learning of 10,000 years. You get to be like an animal or you don't survive.
And afterwards, you go on living. Like we do.
Some people can't forget what it made them do or what it did to them. But that isn't your reason. Nor is it. You're not just a dance hall girl. You came from better than that.
Yes. Yes, I had a proud family once. I was raised on a plantation in Virginia. The war ruined us, killed everyone but me. Then I came to Wyoming. Pretty soon they were calling me the Maverick Queen because I took every unbranded steer they brought me and put my own brand on it. Made lots of money.
Now you have everything you want, eh?
Oh. People tell me I'm a smart operator. They do business with me. But that's as far as it goes. The good people of Rock Springs pass me by. The women don't speak to me. But when you make it our way, you have to expect to walk alone, isn't that right?
Yes, kid, I guess that's right.
Well, what shall we drink to now?
Say $50,000 that'll be riding on that train tomorrow? I'd like to know more about the plan. Where does Sundance fit in?
Oh, there's plenty of time to talk about that. I'd rather talk about us. Oh, by the way, be careful of Sundance. He's jealous of you.
Miss Lee. From the sort of recommendation you give him, I'm glad to have Mr. Young along as a passenger. If the need arises, no doubt he can give us some help.
I'm sure will, Mr. McMillan. I'm sorry to have bothered you, Miss Lee, but it was the only way I could get aboard.
What?
I hope you haven't forgotten my offer.
No, I haven't forgotten. Lucy, Miss Lee, maybe I'll be coming back this way one day soon. I'd like to look you up. If you care to have me?
I'd be glad to see you anytime. What are you doing here? Better get back to camp. We're leaving this morning, you know. Played around here long enough.
Be right along, Miss Lucy. A couple of things in town I need.
He got aboard all right. Good. You know that Lucy Lee?
I know. What about her?
She was there, too.
Wait a minute. Can't stay but a minute. Lucy will miss me in camp.
What do you want?
Well, you probably know already. I want to make sure before leaving town, especially now that
No, what?
that tall, good-looking fellow you put on dealing faro.
Oh, you mean Jeff Younger?
Younger. Told us it was Jeff Young.
Told us? Told who?
Lucy Lee and me in camp that night. It was him that stopped Sundance and the boys when they came calling, you know.
No, I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me?
Oh, I thought you knew all about it. Him and Sundance having that fight over cards and all. I only came now seeing he's getting on the gold train. I wanted to make sure.
What's the gold train got to do with it?
You're going to pull a caper, ain't you?
All right, go on, get out. Make sure no one sees you. Find Sundance. Send him to me right away.
He and the boys took off an hour ago.
I've got to stop it.
It's too late.
I guess you're right. Get me a pack, a saddle horse, and a rifle. I'm going out of town for a couple of days.
Tells me you're Jeff Younger, Cole's nephew.
That's right. You're Cassidy, I take it.
How did he do at the stick-up?
He did all right. Does all right at cards, too. When he's dealing.
All right. Take care of the stock.
I'll tend to yours.
I'll tend to my own. Be careful, Sundance is watching us. I could have you shot. Once you stop the boys at the Lee camp. I came up here to tell Cassidy, and I decided to wait and see what happened at the train holdup. What's your game?
No games. The breed started to rough up the Lee curve. I didn't like it.
Why didn't you tell me?
If I had, would you have taken a chance on me?
No. No, I guess not.
How'd you find out?
Watch it.
Let's go outside.
I'm busy.
Still sore, huh?
Yes, and I'm staying that way as far as you're concerned. Feel yourself out.
Sundance won't like you. You may be younger, but you won't be much older if you don't watch out.
That train robbery makes you one of us. Maybe you think this is a funny thing for me to say, but I'm sorry I got you in on it. You were clean. Now you're a wanted man again. Jeff, why don't you make a run for it?
Run? Nobody quits the Wild Bunch, remember?
I'll help you. You're young enough to start over again. Go to California. This country is changing. Settlers coming in. In a couple of years, the gang will be all gone. Wiped out.
What about you?
Oh, it's too late for me. But you're different. You're like the kind of men I used to know. I've been remembering what it was like. Happiness. Peace of mind. Contentment. Something on your mind, Butch?
Yeah. I want you to head back to Rock Springs as soon as it gets light. I'll take care of your cut of the train holdup money, all right?
All right. Do you think there'll be trouble about the train holdup?
Could be about that. Or something else. If there's anything unusual in town, let me know. Better get some sleep now.
Oh, Butch, two things. Jeff goes with me as far as town. Sundance stays here.
They both stay. If you're afraid to go alone, I'll send Muncie.
What's the matter with Jeff? He did all right with the train holdup, didn't he?
A man might do just that to find out the way into the hole. A lawman, I mean.
All right, I'll go alone.
Suit yourself. Muncie. Kid's leaving at dawn. Put a guard on Sundance, see he doesn't follow her. Use loudmouth.
Good night, Jeff.
Night.
Kid's pulling out at dawn. Watch Sundance, see that he don't follow her. Guess you don't want to lose her scalp.
Be careful of Cassidy. He's suspicious. If you need money, I'll give it to you. Please, Jeff. Please do it for me. I'll be watching for you in town.
All right, kid.
Fell for a stranger who came riding through. His love was the best love that she ever knew. But her old love was jealous. Her old love was mean. There was trouble ahead for the Maverick Queen. The Maverick Queen. The Maverick Queen. She could steal your heart away. But her old love was jealous. Her old love was mean. There was trouble ahead for the Maverick Queen. But the air smelled of trouble. The tension was keen. And you feared for the life of the Maverick Queen.
You ain't gonna get away with it, kid.
What do you want?
I see you hanging around him, making love to him, kissing him.
Maybe I do like him. That's none of your business. I was finished with you before I met Jeff.
You're lying. I told you what would happen if you took up with another man. Now I'm gonna kill him. But first, I'm gonna kill you.
You look beat up, Kid. Have trouble with Sundance? You got away from us.
He tried to shoot me and missed, then bulldogged me off my horse. He fell further than I did, so I threw a log down on him. He went over the cliff.
That's what I like about you, Kid. Always take care of yourself. Serves him right. Feel well enough to go on?
I can make it.
I'll send Loudmouth and Muncie with you. Pick up her horse. And pick up Sundance's, too.
Butch, I guess Sundance's horse must have been scared off.
Well, let him go. I don't want no dead man stuff around anyhow. Let's hear from you, Kid.
See you, Jeff.
Sheriff Wilson tells me that the train carrying the shipment of gold to the Denver bank was held up by the Wild Bunch. They got the cattle money, of course, but the express company will make good the losses, so I'm protected. This time, we were lucky to even get the herd to market. Next time, we probably won't be so lucky, as long as Butch Cassidy and his crowd are running free rein. I don't have to tell you that the loss of one trail herd could wreck this ranch. Sheriff Wilson intends to do something about it. He's deputizing as many able-bodied men as are willing to go.
I'm forming a big posse. We'll stay in the field as long as it takes us to round this gang up or run them out of the country. Now, how about it? You with me?
We'll go along. Might as well. We started out the cattle business. Help me out. I'm a cook. I ain't no gun hand. You ain't even a cook, if you ask me. Nobody's asking you, Logan. At least I got sense enough not to get shot up for nothing. In the first place, how are you going to locate the hole in the wall?
That's my business.
I'll get the gear and saddle up, Miss Lucy.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks, boys.
Don't pay any attention to what that cook says. People like him makes it easy for the bunch.
It doesn't make sense that Jeff Young would fight off the Wild Bunch and then turn around and join up with them.
You know, it looks like now that run-in with Sundance was staged for your benefit, so that Jeff could get in with you and get on the train. After all, he'd rather have the cash than the cattle.
Are you sure he helped rob that train?
Well, there's any doubt about it.
I don't believe he's an outlaw. No. There must be some other explanation.
Lucy, why don't you come in town with us? My wife would be glad to have you, and after all, it would be a little safer.
No, I'm set here. I do appreciate it, though. I'll be all right. I'm not...
Hello, Jamie.
What? What do you want?
Something to eat. And hurry it up. I'm hungry.
Suppose Miss Lucy comes in.
It'll be the worse for her if she does.
Come on, move!
you. You keep your mouth shut if you know what's good for you.
What have you got the door locked for? Afraid the sheriff might get you?
I guess so, Miss Lucy.
Don't worry. Fat as you are, you wouldn't be much help anyway. You eat between meals, too?
No, that is, it's getting to be almost noon.
Never mind. What I came to tell you is I'll do the cooking while the boys are gone. That means you are going to have to do the outside work. Who's in here?
Nobody.
Somebody's behind that door. Open up in there. Come on out.
Drop it. Turn around. Let's have a look at you. All the way around. Wow, how nice. I'm sure glad you dropped in. Now I can take both of you along. Get me a towel, Jamie.
What did you mean you're taking us along?
Tell me something, Jamie. That fellow that pulled his gun on me in the saloon that night. He the same one that stuck us up in the trail camp?
Sure he was. I told Kit.
Wait a minute. You told Kit?
Where are you taking me? You taking me to the hole? There's no need to do that, Sundance. I told you all I know.
No, Butch would never believe me. That's why I'm taking you. And it's going to take a lot of telling to make Butch believe that Kit's turned against him. Never knew you had a spy in camp, did you, Miss Lucy? He's been telling us plenty these past years. Now, he's the one that got your father killed. His spying days are over now, though.
There's no need to take me up there. The whole territory's rising up against the bunch. The sheriff's trying to get some plans to get through to the hole. You take me up there and they'll kill me.
Shut up! That gut and saddle us some horses. I'll need a fresh one, too.